just before we get going, we have a butterfly release on Saturday at the Heritage Center. So that's along with the one in Madoc, they've asked us to participate, so.
That's along with the Heart of Hastings Hospice.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Almost made a donation.
Okay, ready? Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome everyone to today's August 13th, 2024 Municipality of Tweed Council meeting. We always begin our meetings with our land acknowledgement, and it's gone, but I have it here. It's okay. The Municipality of Tweed recognizes that our work takes place on traditional Indigenous territories, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We recognize and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous peoples, whose presence continues to enrich our communities. Miigwech. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of our regular meeting for today? Oh, sorry. Oh, gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Please join us in O Canada. Thank you. Now, sorry about that. May I have a mover and a seconder for the approval of our regular meeting agenda, please? Thank you, Councillor Valley-Kett, and thank you, Councillor Fleeler. All in favor? Be it resolved that the agenda for the August 13th, 2024 regular council meeting be approved as presented. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes from the July 9th, 2024 meeting, please? Mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Kett. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Any questions on said minutes? Seeing none, be it resolved that the minutes of July 9th, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. All in favor? Thank you. There will be a closed meeting. Council will be holding a closed meeting during the regular council meeting pursuant to section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 as amended to consider the following matters. B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Thank you. Move on to my mayor's remarks. I apologize for their length again, but we haven't had a meeting in a month and an awful lot has happened within our community. First of all, I'd like to begin by congratulating Tweed and Company Theatre on two significant funding announcements. $45,000 for the Trillium Foundation for their Bancroft Playhouse and $90,000 for the Marble Arts Center from the Federal Economic Development Agency. Rochelle Hardesty and Cindy Chow also received funding from the Federal Economic Development Agency for their successful 80,000 tourism campaign applications. Congratulations. We are saddened to see that our Chamber of Commerce will be wrapping up in our community. It is becoming more and more of a struggle to get volunteers. Volunteer burnout is becoming a huge issue for our not-for-profit and charitable organizations. The municipality of Tweed thanks the Chamber for their time, effort, and commitment to servicing the businesses in our community. On July 11th, I attended a meeting with Steve Cook, the Executive Director of Belleville General Hospital Foundation, and Bill Tottle, VP Quinte Health. We reviewed the 2024 equipment needs for the Belleville General Hospital. I've taken on the role of Finance Chair for the Belleville General Hospital Foundation. On the 12th, I made my way to the pool along with Councillors Fleeler and Valiquette and Deputy Mayor Demarche to receive the Legion's generous pool donation. On July 16th, I met with Wade He to discuss solar installations and battery backups. Later that morning, Rochelle Hardesty, Kate Lassard, and I met with Val Diesel from Forest, Ontario to discuss reforestation programs and opportunities. That afternoon, I met with KA Consulting and shared my thoughts on the Community Master Rec Plan. Later, Councillor Valiquette, the CAO, and I had a Zoom meeting with Mayor Doug Lawrence from Sioux Lookout. He wanted to discuss Councillor Valiquette's motion re the province repatriating rural community OPP costs. He and his council fully support the motion. On July 18th, Councillors Valiquette and Fleeler and Deputy Mayor Demarche and I made our way back to the pool for a Kiwanis check presentation. That evening, I attended the Kiwanis meeting. On July 20th, I thoroughly enjoyed the Tweed and Company production of Anne of Green Gables at the Bancroft Playhouse. What a wonderful musical. In fact, so wonderful, Chuck and I went back the following week. Congratulations, Tim Porter and team, for yet another incredible show. And just a quick reminder that $1 Million Quartet is being staged at the MAC from August 14th to the 17th. On July 23rd, I spoke at length with John Boker, the NDP researcher, on the issues facing small rural Ontario, and in particular, our infrastructure dilemma. As you all know, we are in desperate need of funding for our Queensborough and Ross bridges. On the 24th, I was joined by Councillors Fleeler and Valiquette, Ryan Reed, and Dean Boyko from ArmTech. If you recall, he joined us for the prefab bridge forum we had in February, in Tyendinaga for a tour and discussion about the recent major culvert project. The briefing and site visit provided some great insights on creative ways to look at bridges. That afternoon, I was joined by Deputy Mayor Demarche and Councillors Valiquette and Fleeler for the grand opening of Anico's Cube Cafe. It was a wonderful occasion attended by many. On the 24th, I participated in a joint meeting with the Belleville General Hospital Foundation and the chair of Quinte Health. On the 31st, I attended the Belleville General Hospital Foundation Community Leaders Breakfast. That afternoon, I and a group of concerned, caring community members participated in a roundtable open dialogue on accessibility and inclusion, hosted and chaired by Nicole Flynn. Nicole is a gifted speaker and advocate celebrating accessibility, inclusivity, and diversity. It was truly an uplifting event. And I have with me, which I purchased at the Art in the Park, a book written by Nicole. It's called A Life Worth Living. This is her second book. It's going to be a wonderful read. I just picked it up and they just dropped it off for me today, and I look forward to reading it. But she's a very, very talented woman. On August 1st, I attended the St. Mary's of Egypt Refuge open house, where I participated in an open discussion on the issues facing small rural communities. The refuge is a wonderful facility just north of Queensborough, catering to the needs of the elderly and people in crisis or distress. For lunch, I was joined by Mark Kirkpatrick, president of Loyalist College, along with Gloria Raybone, Ryan Reed, and Laurie Krellin. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss how Loyalist College could become more involved with our community. Later, I attended the Kiwanis executive meeting, followed by the Kiwanis general meeting. On August 2nd, Merritt Stiles, NDP leader and leader of the opposition, came to Tweed for a series of meetings. It was an absolutely incredible day. I'll talk more about the day's events later in my remarks. On the 3rd, I spent a large part of the day with Art in the Park. Congratulations to the Tweed and Area Arts Council for hosting such a spectacular event. Over 40 artists in attendance. I had a hoot as a volunteer serving up beef on a bun. On August 6th, I had an hour interview with Tim Durkin, Quinte News, which will air later. That afternoon, I attended the BGHF board recruitment meeting. On the 7th, I met with Mayo Hako, executive director from Gateway Community Health Center, to work on our delegation submission for our meeting with the Ontario Medical Association at the AMO conference. We are petitioning the need for more doctors, nurses, and other healthcare providers. Congratulations, Councillor Valiquette, on your motion for the province to repatriate OPP costs. As I noted, your motion has resonated with many small communities. You have now received support from 21 municipalities, and it couldn't come at a better time. In our September council package, there will be a letter notifying municipalities of the OPP wage settlement for 2023 to 2026. This will definitely impact our OPP budget, which currently eats 20% of our municipal taxes. The wage settlement is as follows. Salary year-over-year rate increases of 4.7%, 4.75% in 2023, 4.5% in 2024, and 2.75% in 2025 and 2026. Additionally, effective September 1st, 2024, many OPP detachment frontline constables and sergeants will be receiving an additional 3% frontline patrol premium. That's a quote, all of that. That represents a 13.75% wage increase and potentially up to 16.75%. It is amazing how generous the province can be when someone else is footing the bill. As noted, the municipality of Tweed welcomed NDP leader and leader of the opposition, Merritt Stiles, to our community on August 2nd. Merritt and I started with a tour of our downtown and was an opportunity to celebrate the investments made by many residents in their commercial buildings, but also an occasion to talk about empty storefronts and our request to implement a vacancy tax, which was turned down by parliamentary assistant MPP Byers at the Roma conference. Following lunch at the newly opened Cube Cafe, we returned to the municipal office for a press conference where some Hastings County mayors and Belleville Mayor Neil Ellis was in attendance. I'm also grateful that local Hastings County mayors participated in the ensuing roundtable discussion, which focused on small rural Ontario socioeconomic issues, including our infrastructure deficits and the need for provincial and federal no-strings-attached funding. Thank you to Wardens and Sterling Mayor Bob Mullen, Center Hastings Mayor Tom DeLine, Bancroft Mayor Paul Jenkins, and Township of Wollaston Mayor Michael Firth. And also thank you to Deputy Mayor DeMarsh and Councillors Valiquette and Fleeler, who were also present. The essence of my rural issue pitch focused on infrastructure funding and a necessary course of action. I noted we recognize there is a looming infrastructure deficit facing all municipalities. However, smaller municipalities do not have the financial capacity to deal with the infrastructure tsunami at our door. Small rural municipalities do not have the large residential commercial tax base of large urban centers. Although we started as the proverbial canary in the coal mine, we now simply find ourselves as the tip of the iceberg. We are vulnerable, we are scared, and we are a harbinger of the disaster to come. We have identified the problems with all of their complexities. We now need the Ontario and federal governments to recognize that the time to act is today, before a critical infrastructure failure event results in the loss of life. For example, the previous governments had adopted a similar mindset regarding healthcare, then perhaps we wouldn't be living with a healthcare crisis, a crisis that has gripped every corner of this country. We knew that we had an aging, long-living baby boom population, which would tax our healthcare system. We knew we were going to need more nursing homes. We knew that we were not graduating enough doctors or nurses and other healthcare providers. We knew that the common sense revolution was a harbinger of mental health care crisis and homelessness. We knew all of this decades ago, yet we failed to plan, and now healthcare in this country is on life support. Why? Because tackling some issues requires courage, commitment, mega dollars, and the risk of perhaps being voted out. So what do? We let the problem fester and grow in magnitude to such an extent that it is almost impossible to resolve. Acknowledging that a problem exists, analyzing the extent of the problem, developing a plan to respond to the problem, and acting the plan with the required financial supports, and then monitoring the plan's progress are all key to preventing the demise of small rural Ontario. The necessity of sustained partnerships between federal, provincial, and municipal governments has never been clearer. Emphasizing a strategic long-term approach to funding is not just a response to immediate challenges, but investment in our collective future. We need our leaders to set their minds to achieving a just, equitable, fair assessment and response to the social and financial threats, jeopardizing the viability of small rural Ontario, rather than focusing solely on large urban centers. After that roundtable, Merritt joined Ryan Reid and I for a tour of our failing bridges. We looked at both the Queensborough and Ross bridges. Merritt and I then met with Mayor Ellis to discuss Belleville's homelessness issue. I also touched upon the situation in Bancroft. Homelessness is largely related to mental health and addiction, and these are healthcare matters and therefore should be fully funded by the Ontario Ministry of Health. Yet again, this is another example of provincial downloading resulting in an unfair tax burden on municipalities and their residents. Following this meeting, Merritt and I met with Steve Cook, Executive Director from the Belleville General Hospital Foundation. Not sure if everyone is aware that the provincial government does not fund hospital equipment. The foundations are required to raise funds for equipment, including CT scans, MRIs, nuclear medicine cameras, oncology equipment, and some medications, scopes, hospital beds, etc. The BGH currently has an urgent need for $9 million in equipment. Hospitals across province have also been burdened by having to raise funds for a new health information system. Quinte Health costs are approximately $40 million, of which the foundations are charged with raising $20 million. This means less money for much needed equipment. Quinte Health will need to borrow the remaining $20 million, saddling them with a significant long-term debt. I thought it was important for Merritt to hear this story since my plea with the provincial government has fallen on deaf ears. In today's council package under information, you will find my response to Minister Sajjan, Minister of Emergency Preparedness, letter dated April 3rd, 2024. In this letter, I request a meeting with the minister. I also express our disappointment, frustration, and anger over the federal government's lack of concern re the impact of the July 24th, 2022 EF2 tornado on our residents. Yes, it's a battle we are still fighting. Thank you very much for your time. Now on to the rest of the meeting. We are now going to move into a public planning meeting. The purpose of this public planning meeting is for zoning amendment ZA 12/24. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment to allow a mobile home as defined in section 3.179 of the comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-30 to be a permitted use in the rural RU and rural residential RR zones. Could I have a mover and a seconder to get that on the tape?
We do that at the end.
Okay, good enough. Do you have all the stuff here for me to?
Through to the mayor, no, I don't. I've lost
Okay,
my.
I'll do it by memory.
Sure.
It's gonna be a treat.
We've done it a few times.
Okay. So first of all, is there anybody, I'm gonna ask, is there anybody out there that online that would like to talk to this?
There was nobody who registered for online
Okay.
that I have been set up.
Okay, fine. Is there anybody in the room that would like to address this situation? Yes, okay, Linda Akey. Linda, could I ask you to come up to the mic, to the podium, and please, by all means, address your concerns.
Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We always appreciate when the residents of the municipality become engaged in what we are doing. So thank you for being here.
Always.
Do we have time limits on this, by the way? Or this is not like the other, right?
So this is a public planning meeting, so there's no specific time limits,
Okay,
but we
good.
do ask and so that everybody has a chance to try to keep it to 10 minutes, just so that everybody in the room who may wish to speak will have a chance to
Okay,
speak.
thank you. Good enough. Okay, over to you, Linda.
Good morning, Municipality of Tweed. Hi, good to see some audience there. Mayor Don DeGenova, Deputy Mayor Jamie DeMarsh, Councillor Jim Fleeler, Peter Valaket, and Jacob Palmatier. Staff, press, audience, welcome. Thank you for this opportunity. Where do we begin? This issue is nothing new over the last 50 years. Is my mic okay? Am I?
You're hard to hear.
Okay. Tip it up maybe. Thank you. The intent of a good progressive council is to move us forward with vision. Vision for our children, our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, if you're lucky enough to have them. Vision for, a straightforward common sense approach is half the battle. Knowing your people and your community. What is the financial and beautification benefit of this amendment to the municipality of Tweed? Existing home value and property values will decrease. Think about the curb appeal, the neighborhood appeal that the municipality of Tweed has. What will the tax base be on a mobile home, on a rural or rural residential 1 acre lot? Will older, previously owned mobile homes be allowed to move in? I appreciate the fact that Councillor Jim Flaler showed me a picture this morning that is attractive, certainly for a mobile home. But is that the vision that you require for our 1 acre and rural and rural residential lots? Is that going to be a requirement? Are you going to allow older homes in there? Absolutely no appreciation in value. A mobile home depreciates in value regardless of any additions. Like a new car, once a mobile home leaves the factory, it depreciates. It quickly drops in value. And that comes from CSA approved mobile homes, March 6, 2023. Road maintenance. Yes, the roads are there, but they're not built for more load or traffic. Where are we going to get the money? Where's the money coming from for that maintenance? We're already suffering badly with our bridges. How can this happen? All roads require maintenance, which equates to more cost. The tax base from a mobile trailer would not be sufficient to cover these costs. The rest of us are going to be picking up the slack. Our taxes will go up. Think about the increased OPP, first responder, and volunteer fireman costs. Building official, additional costs. These mobile homes are notorious for fire. They go up in 20 minutes. Check the provincial stats. I've got them here. And Kenron Estates is very, very careful, and they're fairly local. Moving forward would be common sense to allow a limited number of additional trailers where they're already zoned. That's where they should be. Think of our town. We have developers that have huge investments in Tweed. At least 4 of them will be additional housing. Some have been planning for years for this development. Tweed has made a huge investment in their Lagoon 4, and this time frame is probably over the next year. Time to think about protecting our current taxpayer investment. You have people here that have paid taxes before amalgamation since 1876. That's a long time. Protect their environment, protect their future. We're lucky enough to still have 1 child and 1 grandchild living in the municipality of Tweed. That's wonderful, but as progress has a lot of different faces, and this isn't one of them. Think, actually, as our elected officials, that's your job. That is your job. Fear has 2 meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. Make appropriate, forward, common sense decisions for our municipality of Tweed. It's a black and white decision. how much time do I have, Gloria? Go ahead. Thank you. I have volunteered in this municipality for many years. Part of many studies, including the old pillar development. Mayor, you remember that one? How many of these engineered, paid for by our taxpayers studies, 5-year, whatever, are sitting on the shelves? I'm going back to 2005 when we used Greer Galloway and another competitive engineer at the time. It's all been talked about. Senator Hastings has an excellent risk assessment program. Tweed doesn't measure up to that. I found a bylaw 2022-12 on the website, not signed. There's so much required before this should even go to a public meeting. I've talked to so many businessmen that don't even know about it. And we're not comfortable giving a statement today because they had other commitments mainly, but also they want more communication. Like honesty, nothing behind the back. I deliver this with respect to everyone. I want to raise awareness in the future of the municipality of Tweed, where we are going. You're halfway through, I think, this term. So I really ask you to defer this, do more study. A referendum would cost money, but it could be included on the next election ballot. So I invite comments, questions, whatever, and I'll be happy to sit down.
Thank you, Linda. First of all, again, I want to thank you for taking the time and the effort to prepare your presentation and to deliver it to us. Very much appreciated by all of us around this table. Secondly, I did have a number of people reach out to me in relation to the bylaw who initially expressed some concern, as you have. They did get back to me, though, and said that after they read the bylaw, they found it tight. They found that it was going to limit. I'm just sharing with you what I've heard, okay, from other people. So that was the sense that I got from others. I know, as you mentioned, we're very blessed in our community that we have a number of developers who have plans, and we're hoping that those plans are going to be delivered on. And I think in the area of what we're looking at right now, since they own the land, they would be controlling what type of development they want around there. We're really restricted in our community, especially in the village, about what land is available.
There's no rural in the village.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's not going to impact the village at all.
No, I realize that,
Yeah.
but there's a whole lot of land, especially in Hungerford.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
okay.
And parts of Hungerford, our fire department can't get to in 20 minutes.
Well, I think Councillor Valiquette has a question he wants to raise afterwards. I just want to go to, did you want to say something? Did you have your hand up?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so go ahead, Councillor Valiquette.
Mayor, just the fire chief.
Yes.
So in Masaki's presentation, she talks about the 20-minute burn time for these mobile homes. Are you aware of that? Does that create a critical issue for you and your firefighters?
Yeah.
Asking just from a resident safety perspective.
Yeah, doing some more research on it. Through any of the older homes and stuff, the older mobile homes, the one that we back in the day, weren't built as well as what the new ones. The new ones now have to be built. CSA have to be fire code compliant. So basically the same as what your new construction home burn time compared to an old home is greatly increased too with new construction, lightweight construction. They have to meet code compliance. The new homes. Yes, there is risk in any home fire. Like I said, the 20 timeline means everything. If it's far out in the rural, it's different than a house, a lightweight construction, new home out in the if we have 20-minute response time, it is times everything to go to a call. And I understand what you're saying, 100%. But I mean, with a new lightweight construction, the same thing as with them, they face the same risk as these, because they have to be built to fire code compliance now. And the reading in the thing, if you look in the code, I know our building department would have to, they have to be stamped, passed through the building code before you could, I presume, before they could be installed on a rural residential lot, same as what a new lightweight construction home would have to be. Is they have the same restrictions as that. Like, if they don't meet fire code compliance, they're not good. Like, and I understand, especially with the old ones, if they're not stamped and don't have if they don't have stamps and stuff on them, then we don't know without doing a full inspection. Like, materials have changed greatly over the years. I think since like 1976, they changed, I believe it is. I'd have to do a little more research on that, but they started changing the fire code compliance in some of the mobile homes where they have to have longer burn times, the drywalls, that kind of thing. Same thing as what the new lightweight construction, to give the person time to do that. They have hubs in them, as well as with smoke detection is the big thing. They have to have all the compliance. They have to have 2 ways out as well, where they have to have 2 ways out of the home and stuff with the new construction, which, as well as your home has to have 2 ways out for compliant, or like for safety stuff. So, and if it doesn't, like, I mean, I think that would lay a lot back on the building department to keep to look onto that stuff when they're going to install a new mobile home, new lightweight construction, a new multi-complex or whatever. It's all about the code compliance, and I think that would be something that would be back to building, that they basically they put the building in, they make sure the compliance is there for the fire code compliance, and then after that we look after, make sure that, you know, smoke detection is done, that fire prevention, you know, that kind of stuff, that exits are kept clean and that type of stuff or whatever. So, but I know they are building stuff back on the new homes, and the new mobile homes and stuff have to be fire code compliance to whatever, to meet fire code compliance and stuff. And that's would be one thing. It would have to be the building department would have to look into the age and stuff of that unit or whatever before they were installed or whatever.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
The other aspect to that is this homeowner, the mobile home owner, will find from their insurance company what their cost may be, because it's determined from your. Yeah, there's a risk. Yeah.
Depending on
Yeah.
the
Yeah. And I think those kind of details haven't been perhaps thought about. You know, it's not going to be it's not going to be a cheap place to live by the time you buy your lot and septic and well and the trailer itself. Have you considered the age of trailers that you will allow?
Gloria. We do have.
Through the mayor to all of council and to Linda Akey, anyone as per the definition of the zoning bylaw that would come in as a mobile home has to meet the CSA requirements. So old ones that do not meet that would not be permitted. So it only are ones who would actually pass the building code, because they would not get a building permit otherwise, and the chief building officer would not be able to sign off, and it would be forced to be removed.
Thank you. In my research, I found that across the province, because that's what we're dealing with, there are many older mobile homes that the CSA certificate sticker has been removed, and they can't get it replaced under any circumstances. So that's an issue as well.
But I guess in relation to what Gloria is saying, those would not be permitted.
No, they wouldn't be permitted.
Permitted. So
No.
so we're
Yeah.
lucky. In
So
that
that's
regard.
that's a good,
Yeah.
that's a positive.
Councillor Fleeler, you have a question.
Through the mayor to Linda and everyone else, I guess we have put in place over the last little while, tiny homes, granny flats, this type of thing. And I do realize there is definitely a need for accommodations for seniors who like to downsize. And I do realize that, and I'm in favor of more in favor of a permanent structure, like you have to have a well and a septic system. So if you're gonna spend that kind of money, why wouldn't you build a tiny home? And the other thing, and I'm not trying to take away an opportunity for people who like to downsize. You put a trailer on a pedestal, you have the environmental effects underneath, so how do you heat that in the winter?
That's not our concern. There are
it-
standards that
but-
are established to make sure that those things meet certain code. And I would think heating would be a key issue and making sure that if it's a livable place, that it has to be properly heated.
Yeah, but-
Gloria, yes, go ahead.
I believe through the mayor to all of council and to the general public that there is a misunderstanding of what a mobile home is, that it's often misconstrued as being the trailers. This is not in relation to trailers. It looks very similar to a modular home. We do have a couple of samples that I can share screen here of what they actually look like. A lot of the mobile homes, when they're come in, they're set down on a proper foundation as is required under the building code to get your building permit. Sometimes they're put in with a basement as well. So they're not set off the ground. They're put in on a proper foundation, just like any house would be. But I will show a picture here so that the public can get an idea of what a mobile home is compared. It's not, I know we keep referring to it as trailer here, but it's not actually a trailer. It looks more like a modular home, but it's the more of the method of how it gets to the lot, which is really makes a difference between a modular home and a mobile home. So this one here is one that is down in Kenron Estates down in Quinte West. This is a mobile home. So it has a full proper foundation that you can see. And this is in essence what they look like when they're brought in, obviously dependent on whether or not people want to put a deck on it or types of siding. But this is not a trailer, and what a lot of people will think of when they hear mobile home. It's not a trailer. It looks more like a modular home. So just for clarification there for anyone in the public.
I do have the Kenron Residents Association rules and regs. They're very interesting as well for Kenron.
Go ahead, Jim, Councillor Fleeler, if you want to continue. Or
Okay,
you-
so like I said, I would much rather myself, I would build a tiny home and over and above putting one of these units in place and because what's the life expectancy of these things? I know of people who have looked at Kenron Estates, trailers for sale, whatever they call them. And the real estate value is way up and the work required to get it livable is unreal. So, and I do realize anyone that owns a house, you have to do regular maintenance on your house, but would you have to do regular maintenance, more regular maintenance on one of these things? And what I'm trying to, I would like to see this deferred until we get a plan in place to either yay or nay, and if you put one of these in on a lot, this is what you have to do. You don't just. It doesn't just, and I know the building official is has the last call on these things, but.
But you know, if I may, Councillor Fleeler, these cannot be installed unless they meet CSA approval, which is the same standards we establish for houses, okay?
Yeah.
They require foundations or some blocking, like either a basement or a foundation to be permanently affixed. Like the fire chief has noted that these do not burn the way that the older ones do because of the standards they have to meet. If this is something that somebody wants, like, I mean, it's interesting and admirable, but you would like to build a tiny home, but somebody else might not. And I don't think we base on our decisions on what we would do personally. We base our decisions on what is the best for the public at large. And so for myself, like, you know, we've talked about this. I believe it was you that raised this, Deputy Mayor Demarche, and we had a discussion on it before we even elected to go to put it forth as a motion or as a proposed bylaw amendment.
And I have also had comments, positive comments and negative comments, but I think the comments I've heard, the negative comments outweigh the positive ones. And like I said, I don't want to take anything away from anyone, but I would like to see us defer this till we get a little more information.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor DeMarche, you wanted to say something?
So part of our discussion in this is that it come to light that we actually do have a zone for this now. All we're doing is eliminating the rezoning process for these units. And a mobile home is no different than a modular, only the wheels are still attached. So, I mean, and a contractor built home, I mean, you know as well as I do, to get a contractor to build a home today is $350 a square foot. And then getting all your contractors in place to build a home where, I mean, so a 700 square foot home is going to run you 245,000 just for the dwelling itself. A mobile home could run you 150, 175,000. So there's potential savings there, as well as a secondary use dwelling for parents or children on the property. So we're not introducing nothing new. We're just eliminating a red tape.
Any other questions? Last question to you, Linda, and then we're moving on.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Deputy Mayor Jamie DeMarche, who was the first one around the table that I spoke to. I'm asking you the question, what was your reason for bringing this forward in the amendment?
Quite frankly, if I may, Linda, that there is, I see it all the time with young people. I mean, houses now, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. I mean, at $350 a square foot, even at a 700 square foot home, you're $250,000 plus your expenses. Young people can't afford that. They cannot get into the market. It just completely put them out. If you've got a husband working at Canadian Tire and you've got the wife working at Tim Hortons, they're a lifelong renter. And I don't see the house prices coming down anytime soon. They're slowly coming down, but they're never going to be to the point where young people or even people on fixed income can afford a house anymore. And when I tour, I've sold houses in Canron, I've sold houses in Sunny Creek Estates. And other than the fact that they still have wheels attached, they're a modular home and they're beautiful. And I would live in one personally that they're that nice. And I mean, you can't tell when you're in there from a mobile home. They're just, but it comes back to, we've allowed tiny homes in our municipality for certain individuals and certain reasons. Not everybody needs 1,800 or 2,000 square feet when 700, 100 or 800 feet is all they really need and all they can handle. So my heart goes out to anybody that can afford a house. I can barely afford my house. And I'm thinking, if I had to do it again, I would struggle too, let alone somebody on a fixed income or struggling to make ends meet with a couple of children or one child or whatever. So it just come back to basic. I think everybody has a right to have a reasonable shot at life and have a roof over their head that they can call their own, and not pay rent the rest of their life, because they'll be a lifelong renter because they cannot afford to save money once they start renting.
That's not a complete answer, sir.
Well, what answer would you like me to give you? That's
What-
why I put this forward.
You told me your son could.
I said, if I even look at my son's situation, okay,
No, you
forget him. I said, if he started renting today, okay, if he started renting today at $2,300 a month, he stood no chance at ever owning a home. And that's no different than any other child out there or any other retired couple.
And it's no different than life right now. That's where we are.
But is that fair? So I just dealt with another young fellow in a house.
Okay, I'm going to draw this to a
But
close.
this is-
Okay, we're getting into a debate.
Yeah.
Okay, and everybody's had an opportunity to share their thoughts. I want to bring this to a close. Is there anybody else? And thank you very much, Linda.
I thank you.
Is there anybody
everyone.
else in the room that's registered to say anything at today's meeting? Okay, I've also reached out. Oh, okay, we've she, yeah. Gloria, do we allow this? No. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I've already opened it up briefly to council. We've already you've already said something, I'd like us just to move on beyond that. Is there anything else that anybody hasn't had a chance to say something? None? Okay. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the public meeting? For the bylaw to be brought forward at the next regular council meeting, please. A mover and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. All in favor? Passed. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to bring forward an amending bylaw at the next regular council meeting. Okay, thank you. Delegations and petitions. We're going to move on to, we have a delegation. I'd like to invite Biodiffusion Technologies, Inc. To speak to us about a new way of making our roads last a lot longer. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Council, for this invitation. This discussion has been very interesting, and I can share with you that we all are in the same boat, if you will, as Tweed and the challenges that we meet. My name is Phil Richardson. I'm the president of BDT, and I'm one of the founders. This is my maiden voyage doing a presentation and delivering a presentation to council. So you'll have to bear with me if I go off script on this. For the presentation, will you be putting it on the screen, or will I be sharing my screen?
Set up that you shall be able to share your screen.
Okay, perfect. Just bear with me while I get myself organized here. Right. So can you see that presentation okay?
Mhm.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. And into a presentation. Is that full screen presentation for you?
No, it's you still have the sidebar with all the slides. And
It's okay. I'll fix that. Technology at its finest. There we are. How about now?
a black screen. What was your comment earlier about technology?
Oh, I tell you. I taught technology for 25 years. I know how frustrating it can be. Let me just stop this share. I'll try this one more time. Let's see what we got here. Is that any better?
That is a larger version of it. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's go with this one because it's okay. Again, council, thank you so much for this opportunity for us to present not only our company, our vision, but our solutions that we can provide to secondary road and to smaller communities. Our company BDT is inspired by nature, resilient by design. So let me introduce our technology to you now. So what is BDT? BDT is a clean tech company that produces a 100% plant-based binding resin. We are established in Cambridge. Our plant is in Cambridge in Ontario, and our first production facility went into operation in 2022. Our focus is on infrastructure. One of our focuses is on infrastructure. Our product that we offer is called Green Roads, and it is, I said, our main focus, but we have other applications that our product can produce use cases for and solutions in mining, roofing, sealants, packaging, and agriculture. And those are all use cases that we are developing now. We've done extensive testing and field demonstrations with some of the top tier road construction companies that we are partnered with. And at the heart of our engineering team is a gentleman by the name of Dave Hind. He is a world-renowned road engineer, construction specialist who guides us through our build designs, and from that work, we now have 3 commercial-ready applications. We are members of the Road Authority. We are also members of ORBA, the Ontario Road Building Association. We are working with the MTO, and we are currently in pilot trials in Canada and in the US. Issue with aging roads. I certainly don't need to convince this council of the problem that we have with our secondary roads. We have an aging infrastructure with 44% in good repair in that classification. There's a municipal lot backlog. Our data is showing us that we need an infusion of about $20 billion into our road system in order to redevelop that and bring it back up to standard. Most roads are in bad repair, and most roads are owned by municipalities such as Tweed. There's a funding gap. We all know that. Our data tells us it's about $500 million annually needs to be infused into the system, and it's just not there. And of course, as this council has been talking about, volumes continue to grow. Our populations grow, become more dense, and it puts more burden onto our infrastructure. And again, that doubles at about doubles every 10 years on us. So what's our solution? So again, our solution is a 100% plant-based resin binder. It's a binder, can be used as a binder and a sealer. It comes from plant-based sources, non-food group sources. It is derived from waste streams of large industrial processes. That's how our intellectual property and our mixed design was created. It's water-based. There's no VOCs, there's no harmful chemicals in it. It's dilutable in water. Our technology is scalable, and our ingredients are readily available. Canada, US, Europe. It is safe, it's non-toxic, it's non-leaching, and we have environmental reports and validations to support those claims. We have just recently completed an LCA on our product. And when used in road stabilization, base stabilization, we are a negative carbon sink. So we actually absorb carbon. So when used properly, we are not only carbon negative from cradle to gate, we are carbon negative from cradle to grave. And we also have our manufacturing process is zero waste. So how are we effective? We bind aggregate, we work with RAP, we work with recycled materials. We are proven to be a rejuvenant for bitumen, an anti-stripping agent for road construction, and we are very effective at sealing surfaces.
One moment, we have a quick question.
Just a quick question on your, on what's a RAP? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Oh,
what that
I'm
is.
sorry. Yeah. These acronyms, I know the RAP stands for recycled asphalt.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, so it's what is what you grind up from a road. And I can share with you guys, I am no road builder. I produce resin, but boy, I've certainly learned an awful lot about road construction in the last couple of years. So let me just go through quickly our construction applications and where they're applicable. So we have the whole concept behind our product is base stabilization, whether you're using existing base material or whether you're bringing in material or you can reuse this recycled asphalt for base stabilization. The inventor of this technology, who's been in roads for many years, his vision was in secondary roads, you already have gravel in the ground that you've invested in. And when you just continue to put gravel on top of gravel, you waste that resource. So his vision was, let's go in and let's mine up all of that gravel. Let's get a natural, pure green binder that we can use to stabilize that, to hold it in place for a much longer period of time. And now you're reusing existing material to help stabilize bases and build stronger infrastructure. So that was one of these use cases, these commercialized use cases that I talked to you, that I mentioned earlier. We can also reuse this RAP, this recycled asphalt, for pothole repairs. So being able to use our material with material that you already have to fill potholes has been now proven out and used. It is being now used in commercial applications. So we're very excited about that. There's this a system, a process been in place since the 80s called cold in place recycling. So that's taking existing road surfaces, grinding them up, adding a binder to them, to create a stronger base. And what's that? So that's not new, but what's new to that process is our material to replace the petroleum-based materials that they're using today. Because that's the whole drive about sustainability and building a better world is to get rid of those petroleum products. We've been very successful being used as a mixed design additive. And basically what that is taking our material and producing what's called a higher RAP base warm mix design. So it's getting rid of petroleum products, using RAP with virgin material and virgin asphalt cement to create these warm mixes that are more sustainable, they're cheaper, and they're greener for economies, for communities. And erosion stabilization is also another use case that's being commercialized right now, and that is being used in the construction industry, but it's also being used in the mining industry. And so there are many other applications that we're excited about for those for that particular use case. Environmental benefits, they go without saying. If you are replacing petroleum and you're using higher RAP mixes, then you are reducing the amount of carbon that you are putting back into the environment. As I pointed out, BDT is it's a carbon sink. It absorbs carbon, so we do not contribute to the greenhouse gas effects where other additives do. By producing a longer life cycle with respect to your roads, then you reduce your maintenance costs, which ultimately contributes to that carbon and those carbon costs. Very successfully, we have been piloted to create thinner wearing courses. So what that means is that if you use our material to stabilize and strengthen your base, you can use different types of wearing courses, thinner wearing courses, micro surfacing, thinner asphalt surfaces, which again helps to reduce that carbon reduction, but also reduces your costs. And again, we talked about the cold in place at scale is a very real potential with our zero waste manufacturing facility. So we are truly a green product. There is no greenwashing in our product whatsoever. Another thing that we're really excited about is through this LCA, we did what's called a carbon assessment on our product. So there's a lab out of Miami that's called Beta Labs that did an assessment on our product, our finished product, and determined that we are 100% biogenic in nature. What that means is we have no petroleum no petroleum in our product whatsoever, and we are from above ground plant sources. And again, these are non-food sources. So that's contributing to these warm mix designs that we talked about. It's contributing to reducing the petroleum products being used, but it's also allowing us to reuse and reuse recycled material, recycled asphalt, recycled concrete. So it really opens up for a lot of potential in helping with our carbon situation. The economics. So these next couple of slides were produced by Dave Hind. He's that road engineer that we talked about. So by strengthening a base in a road, you increase the pavement life cycle, and that results in reduced costs. The life extension of a road will depend on the pavement strength, the vehicle type you're using, the frequency, the environmental conditions, and so on. We are very effective through all of those, especially the freeze-thaw cycles. Based on our initial data, we will provide plus 20% increase in strength. And I say that because those were the initial, that's the initial data that came out of a pilot that we did. After 2 weeks, we increased the strength of the road over the control by 20%. And we are going back this year to do our FWT to see how much more above 20% that we can provide. Our product is, if you know anything about concrete, our product over time actually gets stronger, much like when concrete cures out. Dave Hind, through his calculations, says that he expects a 5-year extension, minimum of a 5-year extension to the pavement life. And the overall cost benefit to communities will be $25,000 per 2 lane of roadway. That will be the net savings. So let's have a look at how that breaks down. So typically per kilometer, it costs about $360,000 all in, and with the addition of our resin being about $50,000 more, that increased your initial cost to about $410,000. However, with the reduced maintenance costs, the extended life expectancy of your roads, the stronger bases, the results will net to a minimum of $25,000. And what we're not calculating into here, folks, is if you don't have to bring in additional aggregate, there are much more cost savings involved at the end of that life cycle. So each road will be different and each road will be assessed. So I'll talk about this case study so you get an idea of how we operate, how we were able to provide a more stabilized, stronger base. So we did a pilot in Center Wellington, just north of Guelph, and we work with Adam Gilmore out there. And Adam is available for this council if you would like to speak to him, as is Dave Hind. But Adam, their take on their roads right now and the infrastructure is they've ignored their bases and they've just been putting wearing courses, and those wearing courses haven't been sustainable and haven't been standing up to the increase of volumes that they're seeing. And so Adam's his vision and his plan is to start to build stronger bases, and by building stronger bases, then he's going to leave a legacy of a stronger infrastructure, and that's really what his vision is. So that's how we started with Center Wellington. We did a 300-meter section with them last year. They were absolutely thrilled with all the results that they got, the data that came back to them. They moved that to a 2-kilometer section, which we just finished. We have another section we're working with them on this year, and we're looking into 2025 now for a series of other applications that he wants to look at. So how we approach this is we have Dave Hind go out and he does the pre-construction. He works with the local engineers and they look at the surface that needs to be treated, and he produces his build design using his engineering analysis of that. From there, he puts the architecture, the plan in place. We prepare the base so it was pulverized. In the case of Wellington, they knew that they were going to be dealing with a sandy base, so they had to bring in some extra aggregate. They brought in aggregate and they brought in wrap for this. It was so the base was prepared. We applied the resin very seamlessly. We did a mixing pulverization on that. It was then compacted and finished, and traffic was back on that road once they had reached the maximum capacity, and it was prepared ready for the wearing course that was to be put on in the following days. So that's sort of the cycle of how we operate within different types of communities. The lesson that we learned is that we built a much stronger base for them. And the slide that you see here from Dave Hind really just validates the strength. And you can see that from day 1 to day 8, there was an increase in strength. And again, we will be going back out to this section in September to do what's called the full width deformation, or the FWD testing, which will then compare it after 1 year against the control, which is the untreated section. But basically what we learned is that we are very effective for base stabilization, and through that resulted in a commercialization stream for us. So we prove we can create stronger bases. Again, in construction, you need proper equipment and the proper application process in order for it to work. That's critical. We do a single pass pulverization and resin application, and that just fits in with existing processes. And again, that resin increases in strength over time. We actually, again, I'm going to go off script a little bit here. We're actually not far from you being tested at Queen's University in Kingston for some UFill potential with our product, as that industry is also looking to green up. So we're working with Mark Green over there and his team. So anyways, that's me, folks. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Again, we have our solutions team that can jump in and help out, but we also have testimonials and resources in Center Wellington with Adam Gilmore, Dave from Triton, and Dave Hine from our core team.
Well, thank you very much for that very interesting presentation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to order it up to council and then turn it over to our roads supervisor, Ryan Wade. Any questions from anybody around the table? Yes, Councillor Valley-Cat.
Well, through the mayor, I'm just kind of curious, what is your above ground plant that you use?
Who us? Sorry, me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's a proprietary blend. So it's protected under IP, but what it is it's extracted from a series of plants, and it's what it comes in as is a hot resin. So there's a component of our material that is a hot blend, comes in at about 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we have a cold blend as well that is then mixed in through the process to create our final composition. But I can't give you the exact types of plants that are used. I can only give you the classification, mostly because we don't know. It's protected through intellectual property. However, as I pointed out, it has gone through its full Stantec report, so it's completely environmentally safe, and it's certified through Beta Labs as being from above ground plant sources.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Deputy Mayor DeMarche.
Through the mayor to the manager of public works. Are we looking at something like this as a binder to our gravel roads now? Is that where this is? I'm confused where it's coming in here.
Ship to the deputy mayor. It's not something we're going to start applying to our gravel roads. I'm thinking more or less in troubled areas where potholes keep developing and we can't get on top of fixing them. My personal thought is we go in, pulverize it, use this as a stabilizer in some of these sections, maybe even just as a trial period to see if it does anything, and then see if it does stiffen up those sections a bit more, and just kind of see how it goes with maybe a little trial. And then if it does work, maybe in the future, see if we can get this involved a bit more with the process.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could also jump in, sorry, that's most communities are doing that right now. So there's a 50-meter section in North Dumfries near Ayr that's exactly what they're doing. They've got a real troubled base. It continues to fail year after year. So Dave went in, did his assessment. Now we're going in to do that trial section and give them a chance to work with the material. I should also point out that we are lobbying through the government to look for grants for communities to be able to tap in, green environmental grants that can help through the pilot process anyways, to give communities a break on costs and give them a chance to try this out.
That's an interesting that you just mentioned that, because there's the Municipal Green Fund, which is an opportunity possibly to tap into, because they're looking at initiatives across the country actually about how to green our communities. So this could be an opportunity for funding from that particular process.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions? Everybody's good? Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you joining us today. It sounds exciting, and anyway, our Public Works Manager will be in touch with you, I'm sure, at some point. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. And in closing, I would like to thank Council for this opportunity to present. And one more piece of information to put into the system. We are going to be up in North Dundas. We're gonna be up in North Dundas, not too far from you guys, doing some stabilization projects as well. So it might be an opportunity for council to get a firsthand look at that process as well. So anyways, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and it was a pleasure to meet everyone.
Thank you. Okay, on to our second delegation, and I'm so sorry, Mary Lynn, we have to sit through all of this. Usually we get to our delegations much earlier. I apologize. We are welcoming Mary Lynn Rutledge, who was the executive director, would you say? The executive director of Community Futures Development Corporation, an organization that this municipality has benefited from greatly. And so I attended a celebration of Community Futures 35th anniversary. And Marilyn made a wonderful presentation, and I thought it would be great for her to come to council to share that presentation, as well as it will be displayed on the screen so people who are chiming in will be able to see. So welcome, Marilyn.
Thank you so much, Mayor DeGenova and council for having me here and staff. Thank you. I know some of you and thanks a lot. It's really great to be here. I guess I'll just tell you when to switch the page. Okay, so that's great. I tried to send my PowerPoint, but it was too big, but I swear it's not that long. So don't worry.
I have it here.
You have it. It's right there. Yes, it was in PDF though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is what we presented at our AGM. I did add a couple of slides, so you'll see. So just want to go next there. Okay, Community Futures. Our vision is to create sustainable, self-reliant communities in our region. And how we do that is by providing programs and services to support enterprise, community-based development and employment in our region. And next. This is our region. Now it's quite a large region that we serve. It's 11 municipalities within the north and central Hastings part of Hastings County, as well as the municipality, the township of South Algonquin, which is in Nipissing district. So a very large region. So next. We're community-based, and because we're community-based and we have rural staff, rural board members, we're able to develop those rural solutions that meet our rural challenges. Next. Community Futures, the Community Futures program has been around for a long time. So since 1985, there are currently 265 Community Futures organizations all across Canada. I thought this map was kind of cool to show that. And they're all in all the rural areas of Canada, nothing in urban regions at all. So, and that's the goal of the Community Futures program, to create jobs, foster new approaches. So it's been around a long time, and it's been a very successful program. Next. We are currently funded. We've been funded by different groups since I've been there, but currently last quite a few years, we've been funded by the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. And you know who they are because I hear you receive some grants from them as well. So they also support the Community Futures program. And next. Over 35 years. So here's where we go here. Although we develop and we do the Community Futures program, we're still our own organization, so we can also support and provide other programs. And over the past 35 years, some of them that we have supported was the Self-Employment Benefit Program, which was a really good program. Community Access Program, which provided access centers for internet before people all had internet. Community Adjustment Fund, Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy, and other programs through Trillium, Rural Secretariat as well. So the Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy, that just ended a couple of years ago, and that was to support an Indigenous women's networking group in the Bancroft area. Two of the biggest programs that we've done, and the ones that you probably maybe are aware of, was the Eastern Ontario Development Program and the Rural Innovation Initiative of Eastern Ontario. And through those two programs, we were able to provide $8 million, and this is in grant funding, so non-repayable funding. So that was a very good program. We're very sorry to see that one go because that was something that really helped the region. Hopefully we get something like that again. During COVID, we were part of Canada's response to COVID-19. And with that, we were able to provide funding. This was loan funding through the Regional Relief Recovery Fund, but these loans had a forgivable portion. So very similar to the CEBA loans, but they were for rural people that weren't able to get that. And we did 63 loans at $1.47 million. So it was very successful as well. Successful in a bad time, I guess you could say, but it helped some businesses get through. Our core services are business counseling and training, business loans up to 300,000, and community economic development. Business counseling, we offer free confidential one-on-one business counseling, and it's a variety of topics. So whatever you need, and if we don't know it, we'll try to find somebody that can help the business. But that is a very busy part of what we do as well. The next part of our core services are the business financing solutions. Financing, these are loans for up to 300,000. So that can be for commercial real estate, operating costs, somebody needs to purchase equipment, start a business. One good thing about us, we're very flexible with our terms and repayments. We can, if somebody needs to miss a payment or they only want to make seasonal payments, we're not going to hold it against them. We want to work with our clients. We can also work with traditional lenders. So if the bank or BDC or someone can only do a certain amount, we can partner with them and do more. So I try to help. We're always very client focused with what we do. Next, it's this community economic development. And this is, these are grants. We always have to say non-repayable funding because the government doesn't like the word grant, but they're grants. And, these are for small projects that we can do for not-for-profits and municipalities. So we usually have a very small amount of money in our budget that we can allocate to that. But this year, because it's our 35th year, we allocated a bit more, about 63,000. We still have funds available for that. And these are small grants from around $3,000 to $3,500, but they can be larger. I mean, we can always look at other grants as well. And anybody have any ideas? This is a great little program and just talk to us and we'll figure out whether or not it would fit in what we're looking at. So next, we're going to show our results for the previous year. So this is what we presented at our meeting. So last year was a bit slower than normal. Normally we do over 2 million. Last year was a bit lower with the 1.4 million. And we think probably because the rise of interest rates, people were very afraid, I think, to borrow because I think people were shocked at how much interest rates actually went up when they went to go and get their loan. They couldn't believe that this used to be, 5 and now it's 10 or whatever, so that it went up like it doubled. And I don't think people were really, they got a little bit scared of that. This year seems to be picking up a bit. So I think people are deciding now, if they want to do something, they have to go ahead with it. So next, since inception, though, these are pretty impressive numbers, I think. 1,293 loans dispersed, 59 million, impacting 3,600 jobs. So the numbers speak for themselves there. That's a great result. And our current portfolio right now is 143 loans at $9 million. So our one-on-one counseling results are next. Yeah. So these are, when you think about the numbers here, it's pretty amazing. So 310 counseling sessions. And these are not just to, 1 or 2 businesses. This is to 201 individual businesses. And this is for both loan and non-loan clients. So another thing we do as well as the counseling, and this is an individualized thing, or we can do it as a workshop, is our retail makeover service. So Carolyn Barker Brown this is our loans officer and small business advisor. She's taken courses on this and she can go and help people set up, the flow in their store to make, people purchasing better, people to see what you have to offer, window displays, different things that she can give you an idea of what the best way to do things are. So if you know any businesses that are interested, or if you'd like her to do a workshop on this, please let me know.
Is there a cost for that, Marilyn?
No, it's free. Everything's free.
Excellent.
It's free.
We like free. We like free.
Free. So as I was saying with workshops, that was one of the workshops. These are some of the ones we did last year. We did about 12 workshops, and we're finding that for business, we get more results for the not-for-profit workshops and for the one-on-one business counseling, if that makes any sense. So businesses, they have a lot of places they can go for workshops, like Small Business Center online and different things. But we really find with our not-for-profit workshops, especially with the ONCA and everything changing this year, we did some good workshops on governance and that was actually very, oops, that's okay, very busy. So if you want to go next there, that's some of the events and workshops. And there's the one we had, the Ontario Not-for-Profits Corporation Act, Are You Ready? And different things like that.
Marilyn, did you have many people take you up on the ONCA?
Yeah, tons.
Right. Okay, so people are well aware of what has to be done.
Oh
and
yeah,
the
we were,
timelines on it.
yeah, and I've been to a couple of them. We sponsored one in Belleville, or it was Trenton, I think, for this region, I think, and then we sponsored one, well, the one in Bancroft, we paid for it at Loyalist. Now you'll see there is a workshop there, and this is one we're holding in September the 10th, and it's fundraising and donor engagement workshop. And this is a free workshop, and this is for organizations servicing our region. And that's going to be at Loyalist College in Bancroft. So if you want to look at our website or our Facebook or whatever, and I'll leave a couple of these folders, that's something that people might be interested in. It's a full day workshop and it is free as well.
Okay.
So, and next.
Rochelle, do you have that digitally? Was that one of the ones that was on there?
No, it is there, but I have it here and it's on our Facebook as well. So if
Okay.
you want to share it, I can.
Yes, we
yeah.
definitely want to do that.
Yeah, because that one's actually, that's done by Carrie McMaster at TradeCon. She's done workshops for us before. She usually gets we usually get a pretty good results and feedback from those.
What's the seating capacity up there?
Hey, quite a few.
Oh, quite a few?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Loyalist, so I think they have, quite a few in there. I'm not 100% sure, sorry.
Thank you.
Community economic development last year, these are the grant funding. These are some of the people that we did, a little bit heavy in the Bancroft region, you can see from that. So, hey, we're looking at doing some in this region, so let me know if you're interested. And one of the projects, if you just want to go, this is sort of the stuff that we do, that it was a nature themed program at the Bancroft Eagles Nest Park. And that was to the stewards of Eagles Nest Park, that organization. So it also included not just like the tours and helping people and guided excursions, but it also included developing marketing opportunities for local businesses. So that was a big part of it, that it actually had a business component as well to it. So that's one of the things last year that was funded through that grant program. Okay. Client testimonials. This is always good to see what clients say about us. And these are some of the people that have been on our website and on our social media. Jared Dickey. He's a he actually went to school with my son, young guy from Bancroft, actually stayed in Bancroft, which came back and opened up a denturist center. So it's really rewarding to see people like that start up something, come back, stay there. And he was able to help, we were able to help him through the one-on-one counseling as well as some financing solutions for him. So that was great. And next, 26, we all know Samantha. This was on our website as well. And there's some nice words there from Samantha there. So that's really nice to be able to help her and Carolyn. Carolyn was helping her through some stuff as well. And you also know her, she was on the HGTV as
And
well.
Samantha was just here and she left. Yeah, so it's too bad. Yeah.
So that's great. Great picture. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's great. And 20, yeah. And this is another it's nice to see all these young people actually. I'm noticing here that these people, they're all very young. Well, young, everyone's young to me now, but I mean, it's always nice to see, which is, yeah. She has been an RPN for 11 years and she's done, so she's, she has her medical background and medical esthetician background. So with that, she's able to do, an injectable clinic, something that people usually have to go out of town for. She was able to bring that to Bancroft. It's a great clinic. So, I mean, it's, and we were able to help her get started. She did a really nice quote for us as well, an article in the paper. So it was really nice to be able to help someone from Bancroft as well come back and stay there. So that was really nice. So other notable achievements, just going to the next one. We did a 3-year strategic plan and business plan. I mean, it was notable for one of those things you have to do, but it's always good to look at what we need to do. And the next, which actually was one of the easiest experiences I've ever had trying to do a website or anything IT, was our new website. And that was with Up North Webs. I don't know if anybody's ever worked with Kathy Tadman before, but I just highly recommend her. Great to work with. And next we have, this is now, I see my title got missed, but this is a slide I stuck in there because I kind of wanted to show, you know, what the impact for Tweed has been. And I looked at our loans and I looked at the past and I noticed that currently the current dollar value of our loans that we have right now, 13% of them are invested in Tweed businesses, which I think is pretty good for the 11 municipalities. Obviously, you know, it could be more, but 13%. So we've always had clients from this area. So it's really nice to be able to help. And the other things over here, the title does say non-repayable funding to the municipality that kind of got cut off, but this is money since 2014. So we helped in 2014, 15,000 towards a regional marketing initiative. 2016, the Back to Nature marketing campaign. 2018, we helped give some money to the Teeny Tiny Summit. And 2020, implementing a strategic custom digital marketing strategy to drive people to the business directory on the website. So that's just some of the stuff we've done for the municipality of Tweed that I thought I'd put in there just to bring it home. The next, obviously, we all know Tweed and Company Theater. And we had Tim speak at our AGM, but I just wanted to say that we were able to originally support them through the EODP that I talked about earlier for some state-of-the-art equipment and various other non-repayable funding opportunities through the local initiative program, as well as some funding, some repayable financing for the renovations to Bancroft and the renovations to Actinolite. So it's been really great to be able to be part of that experience and to be part of that organization, which we all know is a benefit to Tweed and to Bancroft and to the whole region. I did notice that we just shared on Facebook that the funding that because the project is closed, the funding that we provided towards the ASL interpretation of Dear Rita. So that was something we just did. And we also have something new coming on Facebook, another client from the region. So I just wanted to say that. And I just wanted to say thank you again for having me here. It's really nice to be able to speak to everyone. It's great to be able to, you know, be here and to see the people that, the businesses, et cetera, that we've helped and stuff. And we're very passionate at Community Futures to do that. And Carolyn comes down all the time. So anytime anybody wants to speak that has a business or needs to speak to somebody, please let us know. We'll be happy to come down.
I just want to say, Marilyn, that this is one of those organizations that we are grateful for, okay, for you and your team, for all that you've done to for our community. And Sam just returned, by the way. There she is.
There she is.
I just want, I know of so many businesses that you have helped, including the municipality of Tweed.
Yeah.
And so we're really, really grateful for those investments that you make to help our businesses and even this municipality thrive. I also wanted to note that Marilyn also sits on the Small Business Facilitation Program hosted by Hastings County and is a major contributor to that, which also opens up for her exposure to other businesses who might require help. And she always provides great advice, as she did today, to those individuals who come and speak at our sessions. Again, any questions from the team?
Nope.
Well, we have something we want to present you with.
I do have one thing though. If anyone knows anybody, because you know how we talk about how volunteers are few and far between. I can't take council because I can't do elected members, but we really need a person from this region. So if anyone knows anyone that's wanting to be staff is eligible. See, look at me. I've tried with Rochelle. I've tried, but we're really looking
Okay,
for.
no, that's good to know. That's good to know. We'll put that call out.
Yeah, we're looking for people.
Oh,
So
you've got a bunch there.
I just have to, I'm gonna just leave these here and then whoever wants them, that's great.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to do. Come over here, and I'm gonna get council all around me. Photo op, and you gotta come over here, look at the camera. You gotta look at the camera.
I have to look at this camera.
Everybody else, you can get in. What this is when I attended the 35th anniversary celebration, I had made up my mind that I wanted Marilyn to come here so that we could present personally with all of us. So it says, congratulations, Community Futures, on your 35th anniversary. Council and the residents of the municipality of Tweed are grateful for the many investments and support services that you provide to businesses in our community, ensuring they do indeed have a future. Okay, so come on, gang, get around.
Oh, thanks.
Boom, I'll just leave it. So,
Okay.
everybody there?
Perfect. I like it. That's it.
Are we all there?
Well. Peter.
Let me go back, let me go back there.
Yeah, go back.
I'm taller, right? Just go back over. There we go. Now I can hide.
There we go. Okay.
Peter, can you just, that's perfect, Peter.
You did my good side?
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us today.
That's the first one.
When I get the vote, I have staff to.
Yeah, you look great.
Oh, no, don't worry about it.
Doesn't take that, so you normally.
It's not.
Down and that's.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get right back at it, gang. Wow, my gosh. Okay, so I just gotta. Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder to table the statement of revenue and expenditures, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any questions on that statement? Yes, please go ahead, Councillor Valiquette.
Your worship, just a general comment. So as I kind of scroll through this, I see some work done on garage heaters and whatnot. And this is more of a budgeting issue, but I'm wondering if, like we tried to do with some of our vehicles, would we be able to put in a preventative maintenance program where, so here we've spent $3,500 on a garage heater, which 100% needs to be repaired. And I'm not saying that, but quite possibly, had we been doing PMs on things, we may have caught that ahead of time and avoided spending $3,500, then maybe spent half as much. And I was just curious if, and like I said, this is more of a budgeting thing. If we could look at what we've spent on infrastructure or the equipment over the years, take kind of a bit of an average and kind of slot it towards that. Maybe that would avoid some unnecessary breakdowns in the future, which may save us some money.
Good point. I think I'm going to direct this to you, to our public works supervisor, but one of the things that I'm grateful for is Ryan has introduced maintenance policies, which is wonderful. I mean, for example, our bridge maintenance program and whatnot. I know, Brian, you've talked about looking at the equipment maintenance and whatnot and repair. So I'm just going to toss it over to you for a moment. Yes, please go ahead.
So this is more than just Ryan's facilities.
This
It's
is Rochelle
everything.
and
It's
everybody.
this one, it's
Yeah.
the arena, it's anywhere that kind of has a rooftop unit, a furnace, right? If we're just having a look at some of those things for filters and whatnot, like even changing filters out a couple times a year takes a ton of stress off the unit.
Mhm.
Little things like that. So if you have a professional technician come in, they can see potential problems and guide us that way ahead of time and maybe save us, a Saturday morning call out because something's froze up.
Well, and the other thing is, when we look at the asset management plan, and the asset management plan covers everything. It also, following through what you're suggesting, things that we know are going to come down the road, if we can extend the life of anything, okay, by knowing that there's certain things that we can do to prolong the life of that. I'm just, Gloria, Orion, thoughts?
So through the mayor to all of council, we have been attempting to do some of that with the administration building. All of our rooftop units and our boiler systems have all, starting with this year, we've been doing spring, and we plan to also do a fall maintenance check on them to make sure that if there is anything that we address it before it breaks down, as our maintenance budget for this building was reduced with the 2024 budget. So we can't afford to actually replace any of them. So we've been trying to implement some of these. A lot of it has been at this time either staffing or budget restrictions, but we are working towards trying to come up with a plan that can make it so that most key aspects of every building can get inspected or looked at regularly so that we can hopefully catch things before they become a much more expensive problem. But again, some of that will have to come into the budget play, as it might require some extra time or some extra money up front for certain inspections.
I guess that would apply to the arena and everything that we're looking at all of these.
Yeah, and the arena, legislatively, they have to have it done, and I think it's every 2 years, a full engineering review and inspection. This year was actually our year for that as well. So there's some structures that get done due to their nature and legislation. But yes.
Any questions, comments on that particular? Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Through the mayor, we have had issues with the library. And the service provider came in, picked up the issue and made two suggestions. We could fix it now at this cost, or we can fix it later and save all this money. Because you don't need this particular piece of the system right now. So they saved $300 or $400 by getting it done in the fall. So good, clear suggestions and you know, they pointed out the money savings there and.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
It's a good example. Anybody else, any questions, comments on any of the statement of revenues? Sorry. Okay, well, thank you. Be it resolved that council receive the variance analysis report as of July 31st, 2024, as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Departmental reports, going to move it over to the CAO, the Administration Department update as of July 31st, 2024. I'm moving a seconder to get that on the table, please. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councillor Valley Cat. Over to you, or any, let me just say, are there any questions of Gloria?
Just
Please go ahead.
through the mayor to the CAO, just a comment about the interest rates. I just feel that right now, the interest rates are still going to continue to go down. So I think maybe a look, I'm hearing more in the springish area is when you're going to see the peak of where it falls. So I think we should maybe hang tight till then. I don't see them going up.
What's our obligation to get this settled as soon as possible?
Usually it's within 2 years of completion of the projects. So the holdbacks didn't get paid until February of this year because you have so many days after a construction project is done where you're allowed to withhold a portion under the construction legislation that exists in Ontario. So we theoretically could start counting from February or 2 years.
Okay.
It was more letting people know that our rates have gone down. Yes, there is speculation that we still expect some decreases, but if
definitely.
there's a threshold where you say just take it and go, it'd be nice to know in advance, as they usually update it about twice a month through the Infrastructure Ontario, sometimes more often if the Bank of Canada makes an extra announcement. But they usually announce it on the 15th or around the last day of the month.
So then if you said 2 years from February 2024, that means by February 2026.
Yes.
So there could be a lot of action. So if we're looking at February 2026, what's your deadline? If we did go to February 26 before we made a decision, what would you?
Well, if we go all the way out to the February 26th, that means we would have to make the decision in December because it takes
Okay.
about 5
Okay.
weeks for the lawyers to
Okay.
process all the
I
paperwork.
think we're going to see substantially by December 2025 interest rates going up. So let's hold off and let's keep revisiting this every quarter as a reminder to everybody. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor.
Your worship, I don't know, I don't want to belabor this, but we've been put in this position because we've not been able to get funding. We had a system in place years ago. We would have had this paid for.
Yeah.
Cash, done. Let's move on to the next project. I mean,
But you know, it's interesting you raised that because Bob, Warden Mullen, and Mayor Sterling, Bob Mullen, had made this comment when we were all together around that table. But he also has indicated that, you know, we talked about a third, and a third.
Yeah.
He said, scrap that,
yeah,
scrap it, because nobody's got a third anymore. We don't have our third.
Used it.
Yeah, we've all used it because it's been 100%.
Yeah.
You know, so it's table, you know, when funding comes to the table now, there can be no strings attached. It has to be 100% to it. The other, yes, please go ahead, Councilor.
Through the mayor to CAO, what are we currently paying? Like what's our floating rate?
Sorry. So right now we're paying the construction rate. So for the month of July, it was 5.24%, but we only pay the interest portion right now. So there's no principal that's being paid until you convert it into the long-term debenture. So yes, it is a little higher than what the long-term rates are, but if we can get it to come down, it might be a short-term loss for a much longer-term gain in the end.
But then we have a timeline on that too. If we're gonna
Yes.
wait our 2 years, we're probably making up for any difference that we have, so we do need to watch that.
Yeah, which is why I was asking if there is a set level that if it gets to 3.8, let's make the jump, or like if there was a set level that everybody was comfortable with, then I could say, here's the month of where we finally hit it.
Well,
Are we ready to
Council
do the
Palmer
paperwork?
raises a good point. So maybe we should be also noting how much interest we're paying so that we can have a good handle, like, okay, where's the economies of scale here? Maybe we start to turn it over at an earlier date. So you keep reporting on that as well. I think what we're going to see is this fall, we're going to see interest rates go down by a half. We're going to, and then God knows what's going to happen into the next year. So maybe we don't wait till the full 2 years, but at least report back quarterly, okay, where interest rates are, and quarterly as to what we've been paying out interest. And is this interest paid monthly or is it quarterly?
It is paid monthly.
Okay, okay. And can you give us a sense of what we're looking at interest on that right now? Do you?
So the amount they just charged us last week for the July amount was 17,000 for the month.
And this is on a loan base, so we're talking about 25 to 30 years we are looking at too.
It will be a 25-year.
Good, okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't have anything there, sorry. Okay. Be it resolved that council receive the administration department update as of July 31st, 2024 as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Moving on to the Public Works Manager report. We have a report from the, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Public Works Department update as presented? Thank you, Councilor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Any questions on that report? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council accept the Public Works Department update as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the contracted services snow plowing costs as provided by the Public Works Manager? Thank you, Councilor Valiquette. Thank you, Councilor Fleeler. Discussion. Any comments on that report?
I guess I can start.
Please do.
Worship. Just on our own snow plowing, sorry to the. Look at this, I don't talk enough, I get all mixed up, to the manager of Public Works. Just on our own costs here, I guess I'm looking, what's the cost of owning a truck? Like just the truck itself?
Through his worship to Councillor Palmetier. Yeah, I have an updated one I'd like to share with you with those costs. So for 12 years, at 390,000 current pricing with salvage remuneration, it's about $12.50 an hour. So the updated actual cost with that in would be $98.60 per hour, which actually gives us a total savings of $119.40 per hour. So those are the correct figures with the cost of owning the truck.
Any other questions? Yeah, please go ahead, John, Deputy Mayor.
Through the mayor to manager of public works. Now, we have discussed this in the past, and some of the holdbacks on this was staffing levels. Would we even have the staffing levels to do it ourselves?
That's sorry, through his worship to Deputy Mayor. That's something I could explore. I'm not sure what we're asking at this point. If this is in relation to us taking it back over completely in-house, or could I get a little more info, I guess?
Well, yeah, some of the discussion was around taking it back in-house, and that our staffing levels, we didn't have enough operators is what it come down to. Does that make sense? Okay.
Through his worship to Deputy Mayor. Me personally, I don't see the staffing issue. I see an equipment issue, not having enough equipment. I don't believe it would be a staffing issue personally, but I can look into that and get some stuff put together and look at that a little closer.
Thank you. Did you? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, Your worship, to the manager of Public Works, we did talk about the purchase of another truck. And I guess it's a no-brainer, we need the truck, but I think you said if we order the truck, this is for next year? So are we in a good position for this year? For as far as snow plowing and maintenance, truck maintenance and all this, road maintenance?
Through his worship to Counselor Fleeler, it's a pretty broad question. I think we are in good shape. I know I've kind of been repeating this a little bit with our two current trucks that are getting older. To be completely transparent, I just got another bill in for one of them this morning, and it's currently twice the annual budget now for maintenance costs in the one truck. And we're gonna have to really consider what our plans are next year with these two aging trucks.
Okay, yeah, good question. Thank you. I'm sorry, we're having an audio issue. Yeah. And me. Okay, we're good?
Anything?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Get back to us with the other things that you said you would look into, okay?
Yep.
Thank you. Also, could I have, sorry, I didn't do it all in favor on that. Be it resolved that council accept the contracted services, snow plowing cost report as presented, and for the public works, go ahead.
All right, I just wanted to bring forward the gravel costs as well. If I'm able to table or put that out, Lori, is that okay? No.
Oh, yes.
Okay. No
Yeah,
problem.
sorry, has to come. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Snow and plow cost report as presented, and to report back to council on the other items as noted in discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a move in a seconder to table a request to rent a Durapatcher from Amaco? A move in a seconder, please. Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarsh. Over to you, Ryan.
If you look around worship to all council, if you look around the municipality, we've been going around and removing a lot of our buildup areas around our guide rails. I think now with the problem with the wild parsnip and hogweed is a good opportunity for us to get in there and seal up some of those areas. I've been down to Prince Edward County and seen this thing in action. It does a good job at rehabbing some bad spots in the road. You can kind of overlay it on a big area, and it helps actually seal the surface instead of just butting up old cold patch to it. So it's a good way to keep water from infiltrating. It'll help kind of solve any erosion problems we have around guide rails. And it's not a cure-all for our wild parsnip, but it is a step to kind of start mitigating some of this. And it alleviates a lot of time our guys are spending out there every year weed eating around it, putting them in danger. And I think it'd just be a good opportunity to start getting on this, and maybe if it works well, bring it back every couple of years, maybe, and do these kind of things.
Sure. And I see you've accounted for that. It's going to come out of an existing budget. So that's not like it's an additional expense. That's okay. Yes, Councilor Feder.
Your worship, to the roads manager, I'm not totally in favor of this, but I'm not totally against it. I think you're, I gotta really pat you on the back for looking at all this kind of stuff. But I think and I've had a lot of people call me concerned about the weed growth, and it continues to grow. I would rather see us start to spray and try to get these weeds annihilated if we can. There's kind of negative.
You're raising another issue, Councilor Fleeler. Okay, you're raising one to deal with this rampant hogweed and wild parsnip. But right now we're talking about just
But he
so-
also mentioned the weed issue as well.
Yeah, but he's mentioning it to keep it around the,
Yeah.
yeah,
around-
so
around
we'll
the
focus on that.
district.
What I would recommend that you do is ask him to come back at another meeting and report back on what it would cost the municipality to do something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't mind doing that, and I think Tynanega is doing that right now, and there's other municipalities around that are doing that kind of thing, so.
Through his worship to Councillor Fleeler, just looking at some of the other municipalities, they do an annual spray program. And it's typically in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I heard.
And
Yeah.
I don't have the exact figures. I know I had our supervisor go out and get a total kilometer distance on our guide rails. And the figure to do an annual program is astronomical. And it had to be, you'd have to do it so many years and it just
Yeah,
continues
for
and
sure.
continues and
It'd only be economical to own the machine yourself
Yeah.
and to license your own employees.
which is something we could, the liability to even have an industrial spray license too.
It's not much.
I
I
mean,
have one.
do ya?
Doesn't cost very much. But you never know.
But if we could bring
Our
those numbers
insurance might
back,
not
maybe.
cover it.
It's touchy as well with the public. A lot of people don't want to see you spraying and some do, and it's just
Okay, I guess,
Very-
okay, let's go back to,
Yeah.
there's two things here. That if you could get back to us with something entirely different, which is what it would cost for a program. And even looking at it, if you have two aspects, if we hired or if we did it ourselves and the liability and all the things that you just mentioned. Okay, and not at the next meeting, like, when you have
Budget
time
time.
to, pardon me?
By budget.
By budget, yes, by budget. And secondly, okay, we'll go back to this one as your comment in relation to this. Thank you.
To the mayor, to manager of public works, is there an opportunity to also use this machine in some like really bad areas? Is that what you're thinking, like Rapids Road and some of those other areas that are prone to it? While we got the machine?
through the mayor to, through his worship to Deputy Marsh. Yeah, that's the idea. We're gonna use this on likely Queensboro Road where we're losing a lot of our edge to push back and gain some of that back, the road width. We're gonna give it a shot on Rapids Road near Fuller where it's completely destroyed, but just by what other people have said, it doesn't sit too well because there's just so many spots where it keeps coming up. We do have a few areas we are gonna try it in and see if it works, but the big thing is getting the same material back on the surface treated roads. It's more or less a surface treatment material, so it'll bind better, I think, than the cold pat. And then edge breakaway and then guide rail is the main concern areas for us. So
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, be it resolved that council accept the request to rent a Durapatcher from Amarco. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, moving over to the fire chief. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the fire department update as of August 13th, 2024, please? Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Any questions on that report? Is there anything in particular, Derek, that you would like to draw our attention to? I'm only offering you this because you've been sitting there all morning, and if you don't get a chance to say boo.
No, that's good. No, through the worship to the council, no, we just, been going, we've got some good news, like from the OFM, we are applying for a grant for, right now for, cancer prevention. They have given out a grant or are going to be giving out a grant, to the fire departments finally, for some equipment, which is, we're looking at some washing equipment and stuff for the department to try to speed up our gear and be able to do decon, after fires and stuff. So that's something we're going to be, I'll be working on in the next couple of weeks here to get that in and hopefully get some funding for that. And I think and it's kind of a 3-year program. Hopefully they'll get some equipment out for us to help us assist in that after calls and stuff for decon and help for our firefighters right now. And they have come out with a new training portal there that's going to help our training officer greatly to find out who's prerequisites and stuff that we've been waiting for years. And that's it's really good news that they've come out with that new program for us to be able to find where people are and what they have for prerequisites and all that kind of stuff, which has been a real challenge over the years. So that's been good. So that's
How much are you looking at?
For equipment or yeah,
The grant.
so they've talked out right now that they're doing like they're based on each station you have kind of thing. The equipment we're looking probably for in the ballpark of probably about between $40,000 and $50,000 worth of
Sweet.
for industrial extractor and a drying rack that has actually cabinet dryers so we can do it quicker and get that. We're gonna hopefully we get some towards it or whatever. We'll see what happens. And like I said, it's a 3-year program. We don't know what they're going to actually bail out. They've been giving out 10,000 a year for different things and stuff, but depending on how many people apply for the grant. And our bigger areas like the Ottawa and Toronto and stuff that have all the stuff in place already, have all the equipment. So hopefully we'll get a little more for our little community. We'll do our best to get what we can, and it's all helps for sure. So they're heading in the right direction, trying to give some giving to the fire service now and not to some of the others. So we're
When you're
pretty.
doing your application, let council know if you need a letter.
Yeah,
to
no, so
accompany it.
it's we do it all through TPON and stuff and whatever, and we're probably going to get something, but we just don't kind of, it's
Okay, thank
but
you.
we'll work, hopefully we get aim for the highest and
Sure,
hopefully get it.
most,
So,
most definitely.
yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I see we've already carried it, but I'll read it anyway. Be it resolved that council receive the fire update as presented. All in favor? There we go. Bylaw. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the bylaw enforcement services board? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Any questions on the report? Yes, Deputy Mayor Marsh.
Through the mayor to CAO. Now, I noticed we had a budget breakdown here of an hourly breakdown of hours patrolled in the municipality, but what I don't see is enforcement action income as part of the revenues. Is that something that we can add in the future? Like,
Because that's not part of the BESB, they don't get those revenues. We get those revenues. So in our revenue and expense report that we did back in section 9 of the agenda, line, second to find it here. It will be at line. So line 161 on page 15 of that report will show that right now we have $960 of revenue as of July 31st.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Be it resolved that council receive the bylaw enforcement report as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Policy review. Oh my gosh, oh, this is a big one. Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the policy review for the procurement policy, please? Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Gloria, I'm going to get you to kick it off, and then I know I have some questions, and I'm sure other people do as well. So over to you, Gloria.
Yes, so through the mayor to all of council, the procurement policy was scheduled for the regular review and update for August and September. With the last council meeting, there was a request to make sure we reviewed it and brought it forward. So I have been working on it to get it ready for this meeting as opposed to one of the September ones. There is several items that I have been working on over the last several months with doing surveys of other treasurers from all across Ontario municipalities of what they do with certain areas, what they do with certain thresholds. I do know that the proposed thresholds are quite high compared to what we have been working with. And because right now I just set it at, recommending setting it at whatever the average is for the province. But most of the policy changes are to reflect, to be comparable with other municipalities and their procurement policies. I am in a group with about 300 other treasurers from across Ontario. So it was a wide group that we were getting information from.
Personally, I reached out to Gloria on this, that I have difficulty with the amounts that we currently have there. Only because, I mean, let's look at it like, don't have to come back to council unless it's going to, the cost of something is going to exceed 100,000. Well, I feel based on where we are financially right now and based on like a 1% tax increase currently accounts for $51,000. I would think amounts of that amount and even smaller than that should come back to us at this point for further discussion. So that would apply to some of the other rates. I mean, I have no problem with increasing limits But to me, at this point in time and based on our financial situation, I think it's a little bit excessive. I'm sorry, you look like you want to say, Council Palmer.
I agree, your worship. However, I do also agree that it's absurd that our managers can only spend 4,000.
That's right.
So I do think that there's work to be done. However, $100,000 is a lot of money in this municipality, and I think it's our duty to make sure that that's followed. So I don't know where we find a happy medium, because we've done it before. We kind of just made up numbers. We finally have some data in front of us, so I don't know how we go about that.
Gloria, I'm trying to figure out. Like, there's the one category which you're raising from 1,500. Was it to 4,000 before and you're raising it to 15,000? Because it looks like it's 415,000, but I don't know if that 4 is scratched
So
out.
it was 4,000 and requested to go to 15. So one suggestion, because right now it's split as with my survey of doing other ones, I found that there was a lot additional levels that we haven't been traditionally using, where they allow their direct departments to purchase up to a certain amount, in this case, the 1,500. Their supervisors would then be allowed the 1,500 to 15,000. And then managers would be after that. We typically would still make it manager, which is why I created the category of the 1,500 to 15,000 for manager without a report to council, and then 15 to 40,000 with a report to council. So you theoretically could eliminate that category, give managers to 15, and then CAO at the 400 or 40,000. And then council would be after that. That's one way of adjusting for it.
I would feel good. That's it. You have here that says 415,000.
Again, that's 4,000 is crossed out. It's how the track changes work in
That's
Word.
okay.
It's a little weird.
I have no problem with what you proposed just there, but anyway, I'm going, Deputy Mayor Marsh.
Through the mayor. So I do have some notes here,
I
and
want to deal with this first.
I am dealing with this.
Okay,
With what?
the amount. The
Oh.
amount that we just talked, what she just threw out.
Well, what I have to say is pertinent to almost everything that you're talking about here.
So to the dollar amounts that she's proposing that we allow managers to spend. Okay, so you're gonna speak to that.
Okay, I'll
first,
speak
then.
to this briefly, and then if I can go back after.
Oh, yeah, you
But
can go
okay.
back. I mean, I just want to deal with this first.
I am kind of on the same board as the mayor's. It's, the amounts are too high. And there's probably room for a little update there. And I don't disagree, but I mean, the 15,000 seems kind of reasonable, but I have some other notes I don't want to.
That's okay. Okay. Anybody else on that first? I want to get that off the table if we can. Yes. sir,
So your worship, I didn't quite hear
Okay.
what took place there, but so managers are allowed 15,000, the proposal is?
Yeah, go up to 50,
And what would the CAO be
up to 40,
up to 40
and then,
without consultation with council?
well, she would go ahead. Sorry,
Everything that they're allowed to do is pre-budgeted,
that's right.
Yes.
right? So
That's
it's not, nobody's going out and buying a Lamborghini. Right? It's something that we have already told them through the budgeting process that they're allowed to do.
Yes,
Yes.
but I mean, but then there's also there that if it comes in over what we're talking about, from what I read, if it comes in over, that means it wasn't budgeted. Then that's where it's an issue.
Well, the clause in there for exceeding the 10% of budget, so that's where we originally during budget, we get cost quotes that, just an example, that a truck is gonna be $45,000. By the time we get it ordered and budget approved, something like COVID happens again and prices skyrocket, and all of a sudden, instead of being $45,000, it's $60,000. Well, although the 45 is budgeted, obviously that excess is not, and so that would come back to council for approval. Do you wish to still proceed? So
Mhm.
that's what that is. But if something is not in the budget at all, it's written in here that it has to be a full report to council with how it plans to be funded. And that was put in so that in case the province or the feds come out with a special grant mid-year, obviously after budget, we don't want to lose out on that opportunity, but still have that ability to get it put in and authorized. So if it's not budgeted in any way, shape, or form, it cannot proceed without a council review and approval. That's how this one's written right now. And if it is something in the budget, but exceeds the budget overage by 10% or more, it requires council before we could proceed, is what it is. If you don't like the 10%, we can change it. That's just what the average of most of the municipalities in Ontario were using.
So through the mayor to the CAO treasurer, so what you're saying is the 100,000 just means that we've budgeted fuel for the Public Works Department, and he can't approve 6 months worth of fuel without your approval if it was at 100,000.
So because like the fuel one's a bad example because
Yeah, I'm
we
just picking
tender it on a
something-
year basis, which is a
Same with-
$200,000 amount.
Same with sand, same with anything
Yeah.
with a large expense.
So yeah, so if it's something where but our gravel program this year, we budgeted for, I think between the aggregate pit work and purchasing items, it was 60,000 between the two. He wouldn't be able to do anything without getting approval from council for anything over 8,000. And me for 4,000 to 8,000. So with the new one, as it was written in here, he would need my approval, but he'd have to show that he's gotten the multiple quotes and that it follows all of these other requirements and that it's the lowest possible price that we can get. But if we drop down to the 40,000, it would still be something that would need to come to council because it would exceed 40,000.
So where does it, just so that I'm on the same
Yes,
page,
it-
where does it say that it has to be pre-budgeted for those amounts?
So I believe
This is
that.
where the approved budgetary expenditure is a required product or service that can be specified. It
Yeah,
shall-
so it was in the definition of, sorry.
I'd be able to top the definitions.
Authority. Words.
So then, I mean, okay, you got a
I
question.
would be fine with the proposed values if that was the case. In my understanding, and this is where I'm wrong, I was thinking if there was an emergency that the heater went in this building, that before even, because council meetings take time and it makes things very slow. Before that happens, you would be able to do it because it was under 40,000, but you're saying it's just.
So emergency ones are separate. So there is still the clauses for an emergency situation. So something happens, like example, the tornado come through, we had to get water pipes installed on the outside of the arena so that we could get water to people who didn't have power for a week long. That was done through the emergency procurement process because obviously it wasn't budgeted. And so that piece is still in there. We still have the emergency. So if something drastic happens and it's not in budget.
And council
Under-
would have been advised of all of that anyway.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
and so
Well,
there's
the
always a
mayor-
report when there's an emergency type purchase. In section 5, where it specifies the specification, it says the department whose budget provides for the procurement of goods shall follow. Basically, that section 5 says that if they've been budgeted for this, they follow the procurement processes available to them. So if it's something that is standardized, like buying paper, we would do that through quotes and a request for tender. If it's something like audit services, we have to go through a request for proposal, which are two slightly different processes, because one, you have to have a number of different evaluation criteria versus the one you can do it on price alone if you wished. So it's section 5 that specifies that it has to be in the budget.
I'm fine with the proposed values at 100,000, 40,000.
I
so
just want
people
it,
know where I am.
I want it better labeled and discussed, okay, because it did lead to a lot of confusion.
Okay.
Okay, and then it becomes confusing again when you go back to a bylaw. Go ahead, Councillor Valiquette.
So the only issue the process you've gone through to determine the numbers, I don't necessarily have a problem with. But if you're dealing with a municipality that has a $350,000 budget, that CAO is going to have a considerably larger one than a municipality with a $10 million budget.
So when I was looking at it, because of course they were all over the map, I did it as a percentage of their operating budget. So the ones that have a smaller operating budget have much smaller thresholds.
Sure.
So as an example, Madoc Township is a much smaller budget. They have much smaller thresholds before council's involved. So that was done as a percentage. Because it was the only way to really standardize looking at everybody. So yes, there are always some that are gonna be a much higher percentage than others. But when you average it across the number that we were getting, it kind of eliminated a lot of those outlier impacts.
It's like, I think you mentioned to me too, you looked at Kitchener. I mean, and Kitchener is way different than what we are here. I guess when you're looking at the average, I would take out those extreme municipalities and focus on local municipalities, like,
Extreme on both sides,
Yes.
like Madoc Township or Tudor Cashel.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
but I mean,
And then
Kitchener, Waterloo to me really is way, it would be like you comparing us to Toronto and looking at the average that Toronto has or whatever. I would say look at people that fall within the same that's right, that we do, and then see how they're doing. But I mean, again, though, I don't have an issue, as Councillor Palmetier said, if this has been approved, by us already, okay? If it's in excess, okay, if we did not approve, it doesn't come out of the approved budget for this, well, then I have a concern.
Your worship, in each line where it says, Lucas, you're gonna have to look at this, but underneath it says for award values $100,000 or less, and it has underneath, it should state in each of those budgeted.
Yeah.
It should, so
Yes.
that each one is clear and concise. We don't have to look back. It says $100,000 or less, the treasurer shall approve all purchases, and then somewhere in
All
there,
budgeted
let's see,
purchases.
budgeted or.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, that's an easy.
because I
adjustment.
think in order to move things along fast enough to keep a viable business, you have to
Sure.
allow
Yeah.
people to, in the
And I'm
roles
fine
to
with that.
work.
Yeah, it won't take much to add budget into all those various areas and to clarify section 5 a little more strongly in the wording to make it very clear that this is only for these budgeted items. There is a clause about the unbudgeted, but and I'll make sure it's as very solid and strong in the wording that it would have to have approval from council. It requires a report how you plan to fund it. So that way we don't lose out on these mid-year opportunities that have very short turnarounds on the fundings.
Okay, good, thank you. Other questions? You said you had other questions that you wanted to go back to.
Yeah, some of this is kind of putting my mind at ease now that we're saying budgeted, because that, like I said, that was throwing red flags all over the place for me. And I had a whole page here that I can kind of alleviate a little bit. But anyways, the other thing I have a bit of an issue with is we are strapped for cash now, and to incur a 10% overage without our knowledge could have serious implications for us. And I do have issue with that. And I think too, we need to, when we're doing the tendering process, we need to keep in mind, past relationships and, there's certain, we've had past experiences that we wouldn't go again. Those need to be kept in mind as well. And it feels kind of like, we don't see a lot of this coming across our laps in the course of a year. So it kind of feels to me like, and everybody can disagree. I know there's a need to be change the thresholds, but it kind of feels like council is being put out of consideration for the whole process. If it's $100,000, and I feel $100,000 is excessive, and because ultimately we are responsible for that person, that really concerns me.
Could you just hold for a minute, because Councillor Valica.
So I just wanted to add, again, we've said this a few times, we're not being taken out of the loop. We are still part of consideration. That happened during the budgeting process. Right? And if verbiage is clear in here, then there's really no opportunity for somebody to step outside that. Other than the 10%. Right? Am I reading it the
From
right
what we
way?
just discussed and what the amendments that we are making to the bylaw, yes.
And the 10% was just what the province average typically wins. If you prefer 5% or a different percentage, that's obviously on the table for discussion. It was just set at what the provincial averages were as a starting point for this draft.
I guess it's all relative to the cost of the item that you're looking at. Like a fire truck, that's it's excessive when we looked at what we were facing,
Yes.
so.
We could put it in where we do a different percentage based off of the dollar amount you're talking. So if it's something that's under 10,000, 10% is probably not as scary because that's only $1,000. or if it's anything over, say, 100,000, where you're talking now $10,000 or more. So we could create a scale of percentages at what point council is involved, if you'd like, because you're right, if 10% on a $1,000 item, I'm bringing it to you because it's now $1,100.
What we could do, why don't you give it some more thought and come back to us? Let's keep it simple and clean, okay?
Mhm.
So if it's like, the 10%, and if it, once it exceeds this amount, it comes to council. Let's just not make it, regardless,
Which if $100,000 at 5%, we still need to find that money somewhere.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
full lines for other departments.
So, yeah, it's got it, yeah, okay. So, yes, go ahead. I want, before, is it on this? Because I want to go back to him because he's
Yeah,
got.
go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, no, you go ahead, Jamie.
Um,
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so a lot of my alleviations are when we put the word budgeting put in there. Just in my quick research of the local municipalities, 50,000 is the threshold for CAO, not 100,000. So I think I would personally feel more comfortable if we were with everybody else. And like the mayor had said that, more checking needs to be done on that. I think I pretty well touching everything. I think that
Okay.
was my concerns.
Councillor Fleeler.
Your worship, I'm really concerned about this whole thing, so. If we go across the departments, what are we looking at? $200,000 that's out there that we could just.
None of this can be approved. We've already approved it.
Well, yeah, okay, so, but. The other side of the thing is, plus 10% of 100,000? Or 10% of a project?
We just talked about, we don't like that 10%. And so we're going to say it's 10% up to a certain amount of money. And then anything else over, say, $1,500 has to come back to us.
Yeah, so, and again, you get
Yeah,
into a situation where you get a cost plus. And then they find out that they missed another thing, so it's another cost plus. So if we have 10% plus 10% plus 10%, is that possible
Well,
with this?
I don't think so. I think the team out there.
You're
are gonna-
referring to change orders on projects,
Change
I'm
order,
presuming,
yeah.
yeah. So when change orders come in, I want to say our policy and process has always been that all the change orders come to council for approval because it was not part of the original expected approved tendered project. Because usually the change orders are coming on something that's council approved anyways. It's the McClellan Pomeroy where you're talking millions of dollars to do the work. Any change order would have to come for council approval because that project's, no matter what, that tender is being awarded at council.
Okay, so then add that to the specific.
Yeah, but we
Change
can make
order-
it very clear.
Change
Yeah.
order definition, and then all change orders come through for approval by council. So a little bit of work on this, anybody else? Okay, so let me go back here. Be it resolved that council receive the policy review procurement report as presented. And further that council, and further that council directs staff to make suggested changes to the bylaw and bring it back for a future council meeting. Is that okay? Does that work, Lori?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest to say, and for the council direct staff to bring forward suggested changes at a future meeting.
Okay, are we good with that, Lori? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Committee board reports. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Building Inspection Services Board, BESB, as of June 2024? Thank you very much, Councillor Valiquette, and thank you very much, Councillor Palmetier. Any questions on that report? Okay, seeing none. No vote, because I should have done it above for all of the reports, right? Be it resolved that council receive, I'm just gonna, we did a move and a seconder on that, right? Okay. Be it resolved that council receive the committee boards as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Sorry about that, Lori. Okay, we're going to do bring all these bylaws together. Are you, okay, I'll just wait for one moment. It's okay, take your time. Wait till we get caught up here. So we're going to do this as an inclusion, approval of all bylaws. Lucas? Okay, unless somebody wants to pull out a particular bylaw to discuss it separately. Okay, so, okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table all of the bylaws, bylaw number 2024-60 through to bylaw number 2024-68. Move in a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Since no one has pulled out any of those particular bylaws, should I just mention what each of them were? And then, okay, so there was bylaw number 2024-60, a bylaw to adopt an employee and volunteer code of conflict policy for the municipality of Tweed. Bylaw 2024-61, a bylaw to adopt a health, safety, and wellness policy for the municipality of Tweed. Bylaw number 2024-62, a bylaw to adopt a workplace violence and harassment policy and workplace violence harassment prevention procedure for the municipality of Tweed. Bylaw number 2024-63, a bylaw to convey certain property described on registered plan 21R 26439, registered May 11th, 2023 for road widening purposes on East Hungerford Road. Bylaw number 2024-64, a bylaw to convey certain property described on registered plan 21R-26733, registered on May 30th, 2024 for road widening purposes on Rapids Road. Bylaw number 2024-65, bylaw to amend bylaw number 2024-12, being a bylaw to regulate traffic and parking in the municipality of Tweed. Bylaw number 2024-66, a bylaw to adapt a strategic asset management policy for the municipality of Tweed. Bylaw number 2024-67, a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-30 as amended, read 215 Jameson Street, East Village of Tweed. And finally, bylaw number 2024-68, a bylaw to authorize the municipality of Tweed to enter into a development agreement, re severance B2/24. Okay, I'm going to go back up here. So be it resolved that council consent items 13.1 all the way. Do I have to read all those numbers again, Lucas? No, okay. Good.
Worship.
Yes.
I have a question for the deputy clerk.
So
I thought we'd already been through this. That Rapids Road, is that the property that I've sat out on in previous?
This is the road widening for the Rapids
That
Road
parcel
transfer.
is Severance.
Yeah, for the
My
severance. Yeah.
apologies, your worship. I believe I should have stepped out there.
well, we didn't discuss it. There was no discussion. So I think we're okay.
It's up to Councillor Palmetier.
It's up to you.
I've stood out for everything else, so I'll
So,
step
okay,
out of the
okay,
vote.
no, what we're gonna do is, how about I'll pull that one and deal with it separately after.
Okay.
Which number was that one, Lucas? 13.5, okay. Be it resolved that council consent items 13.1 to 13.4 and 13.6 to 13.9, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, now you can leave, Council Palmetier. 13.5. I mean, 13.5. Okay, could I have a move and a seconder to table bylaw to a bylaw number 2024-64, a bylaw to convey certain property described in registered plan 21R-26733, registered on May 30th, 2024 for road widening purposes on Rapids Road. Moving a seconder, thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-64 be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 13th day of August 2024. All in favor. Now, I just realized that we do not say that all signed, sealed, and delivered for the other ones. Is that a necessity?
It's captured.
It's captured there?
It'll be captured in the
Okay,
minutes that way.
good
yeah.
enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for that, Council Palmetier.
Sorry, everyone.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I
That's
thought
fine.
we'd done everything.
Yeah, that's
That-
excellent. That's okay. Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the Ontario Medical Association of Municipalities of Ontario Health Resolution Campaign to recognize the physician shortage in Ontario? Mover and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Any question? Be it resolved that the information from AMO and OMA be received and filed and And that council directs staff to draft a resolution in the format provided by AMO and OMA, urging the provincial government to recognize the physician shortage in the municipality of Tweed and the rest of Ontario. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a second to table the request from the Agriculture Society for the Harvest Festival weekend? Move and seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Any questions on this particular request, Rochelle?
So I see the Harvest Festival has, through the mayor to council, has requested the use of the Zamboni. Now, the ice is in at that time. I'm not sure where we're going to be storing our older Zamboni at this time, so I would like it to be changed to Parks and Recreation equipment, just in case, because Zamboni, the new Zamboni, we can't take up there because we have ice in and it's being utilized. So if it could be changed to a Parks and Rec equipment.
Sure. Based on your recommendation? Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? Okay, so. Okay. Be it resolved that council approve the items requested from the Tweed Agriculture Society for Harvest weekend, including the use of fire department, smokehouse, use of Parks and Recreation equipment, touch a truck, and approval of the route of the color run. And further, that insurance policy naming the municipality of Tweed as an additional insurance be provided for the council color run event. Is that okay for you, Rochelle? Because it's the equipment okay. All in favor? Thank you. We have, could I have a mover and a seconder to table the request for speed reduction on Morton Road to 40 miles per hour from Janice Zarglis? Is that miles per hour or kilometers per hour? I don't think, unfortunately, you won't be able to speak. You had to come as a delegation to speak. The council bylaws do not permit anybody coming up to speak to something. We have your resolution. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So did you invite her to come, Jamie?
No, she asked if, when it was on the agenda, and I said it was on the agenda for this week, and she asked if it was a public meeting. I said, yes, it was.
No, it's, well, the council meeting is a public meeting.
That's what I meant.
Okay, so did I get a move and a seconder on that?
Not yet, but I
Okay.
would presume that they were probably looking for kilometers per hour instead of miles per hour.
Could I have a move and a second to get that on the table, please, for discussion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Okay. Let's go open this up. Okay, we've seen the emails on this. Is there not more detail to this? It just. There. I mean, I've seen a series of emails in the original request from Ms. Zarglis on this, but I don't see it in the package.
There's an attachment there.
Yeah, but it's just a one little thing. It doesn't say really anything.
Sorry, that's all.
Okay, well, how do we want to deal with this now?
Your worship, that particular roadway, especially out towards Highway 37, it would be difficult to traverse it at a high rate of speed with the, if you go out, the asphalt is terrible. Like, it's extremely rough on that roadway. So I guess that's just where in the past I've had a hard time understanding the extreme use of speed. It's not very heavily traveled. And I think with speed reductions in our municipality, the public works manager and myself are out on a few of the roads, and it's kind of crazy that any of them are 80s
I
or
would
the
totally agree
majority.
with you.
So I think
Totally
it's a
agree.
much bigger issue than
Mhm.
this,
One
the
bigger
one roadway in question. A lot of our roadways just being forced roads aren't suitable to be 80s to begin with.
I think any gravel road, honest to God, when you're driving down some of those gravel roads at 80 kilometers an hour. Honestly, I totally agree
And
with you.
the if I may, your worship, when it comes to this and our roadways, we have a lot of narrow roadways. And as an example directly pertaining to high speeds. Well, we were moving farm equipment the other day, a combine. The combine's probably 18 feet wide. When you meet that on a corner with a high rate of speed, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I think it's been brought forward, but it's a bigger issue than one
I would
roadway.
agree. Yes, go ahead, Deputy
I would tend to agree with you, and I think Councillor Fleeter has heard some comments about Rapids Road, and it isn't even a gravel road, so maybe some of the side roads should be looked at, but just a little update since Mrs. Zarglis has brought this forward. I did have a back and forth with the detachment. They said they would keep a closer eye on that road. And I went back through the notes back then. We had requested the speed spy to be put up to monitor that road. I forgot all about it, to be quite honest. And so he said he would look for the records on that and let me know when he found them. So I haven't heard anything yet.
Thank you. I want to go back though. How do we look? I'm going to turn it over to you, Ryan Reed, about looking at speed on these roads to begin with in general.
Through the worship to council, just as general information, there's a couple municipalities in our area that have adopted bylaws to regulate these speeds on certain roads. Like, so the municipality of Trent Hills, all roads unless otherwise posted, are 50 kilometers, Central Frontenac on it too, 40 kilometers on rural gravel roads, 50 kilometers for high traffic gravel roads. So we could look at adopting a bylaw. As far as going around traffic counting all these gravel roads, which is our option to evaluate them, I think would be an unnecessary cost. So I think just as information, again, I think we're just better off, picking a safe number we're all comfortable with and going with that, because 80 kilometers to me is quite a bit for some of these roads.
I would agree. So could we charge the Public Works Manager and the CAO, if everybody is okay, to come back with a bylaw, a new bylaw to look at these speed limits, and go ahead.
Through the mayor to the deputy mayor, is there any I don't want to say point of involving the OPP on a decision like this?
Well, I think right now, and maybe Councillor Valiquette can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they deem any unmarked road as an 80-kilometer road. So I don't know how that would fit with the Highway Traffic Act and stuff. I have no idea.
I have a snippet here from the Highway Traffic Act, just to kind of, it pertains to this. So section 128(1) provides the roads within a city, town, village, police village, or built up area have a statutory speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour, which I believe we have in Tweed. Unless otherwise designated outside these areas, the statutory speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour, unless otherwise designated, where we would come in. The HTA requires the signage be placed where the speed limit varies from statutory requirement.
So then we have to put up signage on these roads now indicating that they are 50 kilometer or 60 kilometer, whatever we determine. Okay, well, I think what we want, yes, go ahead, Councillor.
Quickly, and I just want to throw this out there. My past experience has kind of been that residents very passionately agree that or feel that a speed limit on their road is excessive. Sometimes based on a lot of different factors, some having to do with their proximity to the road. I think that before we would move forward with any of this, it's not just, it's a narrow road, it's a rough road. I think you also have to look at things like crash data. Like if there's no collision data on a road, then people are making the appropriate adjustment to travel on that road, whether they're avoiding an 18-foot head on a combine or whether just some sort of oncoming vehicle. So I don't know that, saying the speed limit should be 50 kilometers an hour everywhere in our municipality is the most appropriate thing to do without looking at all the information in totality. And collision data is part of that information. And we haven't even discussed that.
I mean, but there's also preventative. So then you finally agree that you're going to control their speed limits after somebody dies. Or there's a major crash, or there's like, a family that did swerve from the Columbine, or a bus got taken out. Sometimes they do that, so it's preventative as well. I mean, I look at these roads and like, and I've been driving a number of country roads recently, and I'm thinking, I can't believe that. And it's only been brought to my attention as a result of Ms. Zarglis's request. I never really thought of the speed limit on it before until then, when I've been more on these roads, being more vigilant and thinking, how could anybody ride these roads at those speeds? Honestly, like, and be safe. Go ahead, Gloria.
One suggestion is, because there will be the implication of costs of installing signs and everything, that it might be best if you direct staff to come back with a report as to what the full costs of what different speed would be appropriate on an overall basis like that. Because there is pieces that we're going to have to look at, because if we do say everything is 60, there's a lot of signs we have to install, but then some roads still need an even slower one, and that might need its own special bylaw. So I feel we're at a stage, if you're wanting to look at everything, that you'll need a report before we bring a bylaw like was originally discussed.
And in the report, I would also like you to bring forward what's happening in other communities. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Your worship, the one thing that I do agree with Councillor Valaket is that we need to heavily research this and the roadways, because it's going to be even more difficult to change these back when we find that the community has slowed down too much, that we don't have traffic flow anymore. Just thinking of any of the concession roads that are straight, other than hills, they're easier to maintain and they're safer. So it's just going to be, I think it's going to involve a lot of research, but that doesn't mean we don't get it started now.
Didn't Sterling do that on Springbrook Road? Didn't they reduce the speed limit to 60 for, I want to say, a year or two? Yeah, and it was absolutely totally inappropriate, right? And they've since moved it back to 80.
But Springbrook, that is a major paved road, right? Yeah. No, but I mean, I know we just don't make a blanket statement like, but I mean, like we can talk about the condition. I say we talk about the condition of gravel roads or whatever. I mean, paved roads is a different issue from my perspective. But I mean, let's leave it to our team to come back to us with a proposal and looking at the costs and looking at what other municipalities have done. And then we're not making a decision today. We're looking for more information. And I think that's the best way to make a decision. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to pass my apologies on to Ms. Zarglis with the misunderstanding of a public meeting with the opportunity as a delegation. I'm sorry if you understood that as to be. I meant public meeting just that you could attend, and I apologize if that's how it was taken.
Okay, yes, Council.
My mic is gone, but anyway,
Here.
that's fine.
No,
the
public has to hear you. Major press conference.
Public might not want to hear me, but anyway. The situation is there. It's going to continue to be there. Doesn't matter if you put the speed limit down to 5 clicks. It's the same guys. So I like the Rapids Road situation was a perception thing. They went out and looked at it and it was a perception. They were well within the speed limit. It was where your proximity was to the vehicle going by and what was there. But I think, and I have seen quite a few more cruisers out and about, but these guys, they grade my road where the Y is. It's nice, fresh gravel. They'll come and pull donuts there. And I jump in the car and they're gone. So you can't catch them and you can't chase them. You just, and what are you going to do? Phone the OPP and say there was a guy pulling donuts down at the end of the road. He's going to say, well, good luck. See ya. Anyway, they wouldn't say that, but the thing is that we need data. We need a little more presence on the road if we can. And I know it's a big district to cover and all this kind of thing, but But I don't think you're gonna change it. Same guys doing it all the time and you just can't catch them. I've squealed on a few of them and they got nailed because I got the plate number.
Okay,
But-
thank you. Anyway, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask.
No, I'm good, I'm good.
Good, yeah.
That's fine.
He's got batteries for you.
Got that.
Oh.
Okay, so. Good discussion. Let me pull that up. Be it resolved that council directs staff to bring forward, direct staff to conduct a full study on rural road limits across other municipalities and to look at statistics within our own municipality and to come back with a report. Okay, looking at costs also if we elected to change our speed limits, the cost of the signage and whatnot as well. Are we okay with that, Lori? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Taste of Tweed. They have moved a seconder to request of council designate Taste of Tweed as a municipality significant event as per the requirement of the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario in order to obtain an SOP for the event. I almost said SOB. Mover and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Be it resolved that, any question on that? Okay, be it resolved that council designate Taste of Tweed as a municipality significant event as per the requirements of the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario in order to obtain an SOP for the event. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the request from Jacob Preston Youth Foundation's request for a basketball net to be installed at the Stokoe Recreation Area Covered Arena? Thank you, Deputy Mayor DeMarche. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Discussion. Yes, go ahead.
I feel it's a kind of a minor request. We probably have basketball nets somewhere that we can put up in that arena.
I think when I was asking Gloria about that, it was the matter of where they're going to have to put it. And, oh, okay, you're going to speak to it, Rochelle, go ahead.
Yeah, so to the mayor through the mayor to Deputy Mayor DeMarche and council. I just want to, at the beginning of the year, a couple things. We did apply for funding for commercial basketball nets for the Stokoe Arena and the Marlbank Dome. And they are announcing through Canada Post, that's where we apply for commercial basketball nets. We'll know if we were successful or not, either this month or in September. I had to pull that up to see when they were going to be doing the announcements. The rafters in the arena there in the Stokoe Arena are only 8 feet. So the net itself inside would be approximately 5 to 6 feet high. So not a whole lot of fun to be able to throw a ball when you're maybe below eye level of the net. So I would like council just to see if we're successful with this grant, because we would be able to put them outside somewhere. You won't be able to bounce the ball the best, but at least you can throw and practice your slam dunks and whatever you want to call. But I would like to defer this until we see if we have the funding, if we receive the funding for that. We could put it on the outside of the building, something, but I would like to wait just to see what would be best, because they would be playing in the grass at the building instead of kind of a parking lot. So if it can just be deferred till we wait to see if we do get this funding for the basketball nets.
If I just may ask one question.
Mhm.
If you put it on the outside of the building, would there still be like an asphalt or something, or is it just grass?
Just grass. Yeah. So with the basketball nets, the commercial basketball nets, we've been looking at, because Marlbank has been requesting basketball nets for a few years as well. And I'm hoping we get them because they're approximately $4,500 a piece. But they are movable. So if baseball is no longer playing, we could put them in full-time practice and they're CSA approved, right, for commercial public areas.
Through the mayor. Could we send Jacob just a little letter saying we're working on it and thank you for your letter kind of thing?
Yes, because I never like to say no to a teenager that's wanting something. And so I will talk and then we can figure it out. I can meet him down there too. If he has any ideas he can share with us.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Fleeler.
Your worship, Jacob is part of the Youth Foundation group.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna make a presentation to council as well.
Okay.
As
then
a
welcome.
group, I think that's what they're gonna do, but the, anyway, they've been on this thing for quite a while. Like, they've asked me question after question after question. And, during the celebration on the weekend, actually, they put their 10 years in, but they're a very responsible young bunch of people. And I said to them, if we can't do this, what else can we do for you? So I think they're gonna, bring other items forward and start working with us, I think, a little closer.
Yes, Councillor Valiquette.
Not to belabor the point, but as far as the net being at regulation height, I guess that's great if you're having a regulation basketball game, but not all children have the height requirement. My experience on the weekend with my grandson was he couldn't get the ball near the net out by the splash pad, and something that would have been a little bit lower may have made that more of an enjoyable time for him, like it may if we installed one in the at Stokoe.
I would agree there because like then you have that surface that it's like you can bounce the ball around and have a better. Yeah, but anyway, we look at it, look at all options. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, be it resolved that council defer the decision of the installation of basketball net at the Stokoe Arena until the funding announcement in the fall. All in favor? Thank you. Draft lease agreement. Could I have a move and a seconder to table the draft lease agreement for the daycare at Actinolite Hall, please? Thank you very much, Councillor Palmer. Thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Looking at that agreement, I was wondering, is it possible to share the costs of the, I typically, like, for example, at our home, they recommend that we clean our septic at least every 3 years, not 5 years. And then if you're going to have a bunch of kids and everything in there, I don't know, like, is it going to be used quite a bit? So, like, I think, and I don't think it's going to cost $5,000. Like, I mean, mine doesn't come anywhere near that. So I think if we could maybe, like, as part of their operating cost, share the cleaning of it when we need to. It's not like it happens every year. And even, and then, but continue with the rest as you proposed.
Yeah, so they requested for 100, and that was where I made the recommendation that what percentage, because it is going to be jointly used. It is going to have stuff from our hall side, and it will have fill from the daycare side. So I guess it's what percentage level would you like to put back to them? A 50-50?
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Marshall.
Through the mayor to see it. We can get that number, how much it was costing right now, because I think we're having it pumped monthly. I see the checks rolling through. So that'd be a once in, like the mayor said, 3-year thing, right?
So the monthly pumping, they don't charge us any volume amount because it's not a large amount that they're taking. So when you do it on a once every 3 or 5 years, you get charged a rate for coming, and then you get charged your volume rate. The problem is we're not sure until one is active exactly what type of volume flow we're going to be talking with having the hall and the daycare using this much larger commercial system. So that's where the difficulty in measuring it is. I did some research and they said that an average household one done every 3 to 5 years would be anywhere from 500 to 3,000, depending on the size or volume that you have in there. There's a number of people using it, that type of stuff. So then I basically said, well, this is going to be about triple the size of a residential one, at least. That's where that 5,000 kind of came in, but it's just a very rough estimate.
No,
So
I think what we do is we look at, like, again, this is, we don't know. So we're putting forth what our best guesstimate is going to be on this. And I think what we want them to share, I'm saying I would like to see them share 50% of the cost for the cleaning of it. And at this point, I think we're probably looking at every 3 years. We'll get a better idea once it's in, and then mommies can come out and tell us what they're thinking too, based on previous usage and whatnot, what they would recommend. But that's what I would like to see them do. And I proceed with the rest of the agreement as you have outlined. But yes, go ahead.
So one of the things I never thought I'd be discussing at council, but what about the use of wipes? chronic issue with
I know,
septic systems.
And you can, yeah, so
So
they're going
is-
to make sure they don't use those things.
I realize that. So is there any way that we can, that we can spell that out here that if,
Oh, I see what you mean. It'd be detailed.
yeah,
There could be a clause worded in there about restricting what can be put down the drain systems. Yes, I can put that in.
it's a chronic issue everywhere.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Your worship, even the type of toilet tissue used, there's a plastic, bead that's put in some toilet tissues. And, the septic system guys will tell you, don't use it, it'll plug your weepers out.
No,
It's too bad that people, new technology and all this stuff that costs you a fortune.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, that bead stuff sounds expensive, so I don't think they're gonna worry about the bead stuff. Let's focus on, the other at this point, okay?
So
Okay, thank you.
50% is
Is that okay?
everyone's field
Yep,
there? Okay.
good, thanks. Okay, excuse, okay, be it resolved, the council received the draft license agreement daycare Actini health report is presented, and further council agreed to include lead and bacterial water testing to the agreement of the cost municipality, and further that council agreed to cover, to offer covering a portion of 50% of the septic pumping when needed, including a clause referring to items used in the drain system. Oh, did you already type that in? My God, you're good. Okay, all in favor? Okay, at this point, we're going to move into a closed meeting. Could I have a movement? Sorry, did you want to say something?
We'd all like to tell you that you need a resolution to go past you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, could I have a move and a seconder, first of all?
We don't move it on the table.
That's right, for a resolution, because we're gonna have to go past it for the next hour, I guess it is, eh? Okay, can I move in a seconder, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marsh. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. All in favor? Thank you.
Just need to use it as a goal. 9 minutes.
Could I have a move and a seconder to move into closed session, please? Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Be it resolved that council go into closed meeting at, Lori?
8 minutes.
Okay, okay, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, mic's off. Notification, okay, I gotta do that. Okay, are we ready? That's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Would you fire? We're good to go? Okay, the notification of closed meeting and staff direction. Could I have a move and a seconder, please? Thank you, Council Palmetier. Thank you, Council Valiquette. Be it resolved that staff follow council direction from the closed meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a move and a seconder to table the correspondence information, please? Thank you, Councillor Palmetier, and thank you, Councillor Valiquette. Is there anything in particular that anybody wanted to raise out of all of that? There were certain things I wanted to support. Go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor.
So, request, so Cochrane, the blue box.
Yes,
I support that.
so let's pull that one out. Okay.
County of Frontenac, I support that as well.
Yeah.
Town of Bradford,
Mm.
I support that as well. And Scriber, I'm questionable about that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're up to there, so.
Yeah.
So and I agree with all three of those. Is there anything else anybody wants to pull out? Okay. So we're gonna show our support behind each of those. Okay. So let me go back up here. Nothing. Do you want a resolution for each of those? Okay, so that, yes, go ahead.
I also, autonomy, the lithium battery, I support that one as well. They identified the dangers of explosion and the danger to the responders. So I'd support that one as well.
Where is the autonomy?
Yeah.
Oh,
17.1.
And your worship.
that's not so much a
Geez, I-
motion,
you know what?
that's not a motion, right?
It's not a motion. They just shared their
That's
letter
right.
to the minister in relation to
Yeah,
those.
so it's this, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and your worship, the other one, I don't know what, it's the geological carbon storage. I don't know what they're doing. They're just out there gathering information, but they're putting this stuff in the ground, at over 1,000 PSI. Down 800 meters, and then they're gonna cap it. Well, you know what? If they could do that, and I'm getting off topic here just a wee bit, and I'll get chastised for
First
it.
time ever.
Yeah. Why can't they cap the gas and oil wells that are spewing 225,000 of those things? I mean, they're chasing the wrong rabbit here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we got, okay, first of all, could I have a move and a seconder to support resolutions from the Town of Cochrane, County 17.7.1 Town of Cochrane, 17.7.2 County of Frontenac, and 17.7.3 Town of Bradford. Move and a seconder. Jim, Councilor Fielder, Councilor Valiquette, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, and then I'll go back up. Be it resolved that the correspondence information be received and filed, except as noted. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. And then we'll go down to committee and board reports. Could I have a mover and a seconder to table the committee board reports? This would be Central Hastings Support Network and Quinte Waste Solutions. Thank you, Councilor Palmetier. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Any questions on any of those reports? Be it resolved that council receive the committee board minutes as presented. All in favor? Thank you. Could I have a move and a second for the conformatory bylaw? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Demarche. Thank you, Councillor Valley-Cat. Be it resolved that the conformatory bylaw number 2024-69 be read a first, second, third, and final time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 13th day of August 2024. All in favor? Thank you. And could I have a move and a second to adjourn today's meeting, please? Thank you, Councillor Palmetier. Thank you, Councillor Fleeler. Be it resolved that council adjourn at 12:30. All in favor?